And it should be live on YouTube. I'm going to hit live on the TikToks. Yeah, we should be live
like
on
an elderly
TikTok.
person when you say that.
I know. Well, it's not. It's half true.
I'm gonna go live on the YouTubes.
My father used to say the Walmarts, and that was just something they did down south.
At least he didn't say. Actually, wait, we're live. Never mind, I can't say it.
All right, let me get Dr. Blitz in. I think I've got the resolution. I think I've got the resolution fixed up too, so that on TikTok our video's not getting degraded as we.
Yeah, it actually goes pretty good. Oh, sorry.
There's an echo.
Okay, we're good.
I'm gonna request up too.
Let me send out the announcement on the Discord.
Good to go. We're just missing Ian. Oops.
Yep. I can also hear an echo for some reason.
That's because, yeah, there we go.
From TikTok?
Yep.
Not from TikTok. I can't hear TikTok.
Oh, you hear
no,
an
but you
echo
were hearing Justin talking twice while on TikTok. Oh, and Justin, you have it now set up so we can take guests from TikTok, right?
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, we should be good to go there. It really makes things quite a bit more interesting. Let me double check, make sure I've got everything set up properly for that. It should be the same as what I streamed last night, so we should be good. All right, friends. We're live everywhere where people are live right now, except for Twitch, because come on. But welcome in, friends. Sorry we're a little bit late. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're watching on YouTube, the link to join is on the screen and in the description of the video. If you're watching on TikTok, you can request using TikTok. Speaking of which,
we have a guest.
We already got a taker. Maybe. How you doing, Nate?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. Nate, before we get too into the conversation...
actually, Justin, real quick, people are saying that they can't hear me.
Can they hear me? Am I able to be heard?
What?
Hold on one second.
Are you asking my age?
No, hold on one second.
It says Blitz is muted. I'm not muted. I'm right here.
I wonder if I'm muted.
1 second.
Okay, I can't hear you.
YouTube's working, but TikTok's not.
Okay.
I'm sad.
Try this again.
I can hear you.
The fuck? I guess Justin's just taking over the show. Okay, now we're all here.
Okay, I think we're good now. All right. Sorry, Nate.
All right, everyone should be able to hear Ian and Blitz right now, correct?
Hello? Testing.
They hear
Can you me?
everyone on YouTube, and they should be able to hear everybody on TikTok. They're saying it's good now. Good to go. All right, and we've got Nate with us. Ian and Blitz, can you hear Nate? Nate, can you say something?
Can you guys hear me?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. We're a go on all fronts. Nate, welcome in. Are you at least 18? And do you believe in some kind of a god?
Yeah.
Cool. And what god do you believe in?
Well, you could say I'm a Christian. You can lump me in with the Christians.
Sure.
Okay.
And in your view, what is the most compelling evidence or argument for the Christian God being real? And also, if you could get closer to your phone, it would be helpful. You're a little bit quiet.
Let me put in my earbuds 1 second.
Are you driving?
I didn't know you. No, I didn't know you couldn't hear me. Hold on.
Well, we can. It's just a little quiet.
It's better if I put in my earbuds. You can hear me better.
Probably.
Second. Sorry about that. Totally unprepared. Okay, can you hear me now?
We can still hear you, yeah?
It sounds about the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds the same. Is it better now?
No, it sounds about the same.
Sounds like they're in your ears, but you didn't connect them to your phone yet.
Oh, there we go. How about now? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And now
Just
we
doing
can't
the
hear the
old
turn
trick of
signal.
holding the phone up to. What turn signal? I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Nate, you know liars go to the lake of fire according to Revelation 21:8. That's why they say liar, liar,
You
pants on
know,
fire.
there's a lot of rules and contradictions. There's a lot of rules and contradictions in the Bible.
agree.
Agreed.
You know,
We
you
agree
can't
there.
use the Bible to prove that there's a God.
I grant
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
full of contradictions. It's mostly just allegory and parable, and it's
Oh, boy.
meant to convey a truth that you can't convey with technical data. Sometimes there's more truth in fiction than there is in nonfiction,
So it's
And,
That
fiction.
sounds false.
and that,
So
Let's just
you
get
can
clear.
find more
Bible-
truth. Like
Do
sometimes
is it true or is it fiction? I just want to get clear on that.
no, it's allegory and metaphor and parable, but it's a deeper truth. It's not. It's like the technical details are
Oh, are
contradictory.
you Petersonian?
I don't even know what that is.
Do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Oh, I think he's a great guy. And
I'm sure.
yeah, I like some of his views. I think he has fantastic
Okay.
views. He's really articulate.
yeah, I don't know about that. So I
But
think
okay, let's just get clear. Do you think God is like a mind-independent existence, or do you think he exists like just in like some metaphorical sense?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's that simple at all. So I think there's. I don't think we can understand God, but I think there's more than one surface to the being of God. Like for instance, in one way that God exists, I would say God is the entire universe. But in another way, it's possible that God exists outside of space and time.
So, unfortunately, it is that simple, right? I mean, if God exists, either he exists mind-dependently or mind-independently. It needs to be one or the other. So, which is it? Like, if you took away all of the
Well-
humans, would God still exist?
Yeah, I don't think God depends on the human mind.
Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
But
What
there's
makes you
other
think that God
minds.
exists?
It's pretty obvious when you look at the universe. You can
Care to elaborate?
see what is consciousness? You don't know what it is.
It's a
All
great
you know is
question.
you experience it. All you know is you
Sure.
experience it. You know you can describe the qualia, but you can't say what consciousness is. Nobody can.
Right, sure.
But-
What does that have to do with God?
Yeah.
Well, our brain, the consciousness arises from the mechanics of our brain. We believe, like we would all agree
Oh, I
on
mean, if
that.
you grant that,
But-
then we don't need a God, right?
Well, listen. So our consciousness, our particular consciousness arises from the mechanics of our brain, which is a neural network, and all it is our brain is really simple. It's just a couple of electrochemical reactions, and those there's a lot of electrochemical reactions in the universe.
Can I get the argument
You could
reveal? I
say-
think we're still waiting for the argument reveal.
Well, you could say the galaxies can communicate with each other. I mean, you could see that they pass information to each other, like a brain would.
this is crazy.
Does it?
Okay. Well, for instance, you have neurotransmitters and receptors, and it
Do you
accepts
say
or
this same
rejects.
stuff when you're sober or only when you're intoxicated?
Only when I'm intoxicated.
Give him the benefit
But
of the
I'm
doubt,
trying
Justin.
to-
It's 8:30 in the morning.
Could be late. Anyway, I'm saying that you have neurotransmitters and receptors, right? And they reject or accept molecules based on the shape and size of the molecule, right? And
Sure.
if you look at planets in the solar system and in the galaxies, you could see panspermia as a transfer of information. Where
Except we have no
it would,
evidence that panspermia happens. So,
Yeah, well, if God is if the universe is like a conscious brain, and we're
That's a
not
big
even the
if.
size of a molecule in it, we wouldn't be able to see it, right? We wouldn't be able to.
so why
view
should you
it.
believe that that's the case?
Because you can see in the fractal nature of the universe. You could, as above, so below. You could see how it would ramp up to that.
Yeah. So,
Like-
can you give me examples of structures that are as above, so below? Like what's similar in the cosmos that's similar, I don't know, at the microscopic scale? What features are similar?
Like, for instance, spherical shapes and orbitals are macrocosmic and microcosmic.
So because there are spheres at the cosmic scale and also spheres at the microscopic scale, that's enough for you to expect that the universe is conscious?
If spheres,
Well,
then God.
you can
Spheres,
see it.
therefore
Well, okay.
God.
There you go.
Shapes.
Okay,
Shapes, bro.
so do bees have consciousness? Is there a lower form of consciousness?
What a
than
what a
us?
complex question. I don't think we know.
Also, it seems like a pivot from
Yeah.
the original question.
Seems completely
No,
irrelevant.
I'm going to it. So
No,
I'm saying,
I mean the question
you
was:
know-
was there an example of something that's as above, so below? You said spheres. Is that really the case? Also, I'd love you to
Well,
point out spheres existing in the cosmos, or spheres existing in the microscopic, for that matter. I think you'd be hesitant to find any.
What do you mean? Like a planet?
Well, it's just
And
flatter
then
than
like
Planet
a
spherical?
galaxy is also. Do you want to get?
I don't
like,
think there are
you
any
don't think I mean
spherical galaxies, for what it's worth. There are ellipsoidal galaxies. I don't think there are any spherical galaxies.
Okay, so I'm not trying to get geometrically exact.
So when you say as above,
you're
so
not gonna
below,
find
you
a-
mean like roughly above, therefore roughly below?
Well, okay, so if you look at a fractal, right? It doesn't like faithfully replicate what you see like at every iteration of zooming in or zooming out. It looks different, but eventually, see
Why
it
do you
start to
think?
form.
What do you think makes fractals do that?
Repeating mathematical. It's a repeating math algorithm.
No, I know what a fractal is, but like, why? Why do they do that? Do you have any idea? Because the equations that create fractals are quite simple often.
Right.
So,
It's just like, it's just like 1 plus 2 plus 1 times 2 or something really simple. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but that's not the point. The point is
1 plus 2 times 1
after-
plus times 1 times 2? That's 6.
I don't know what it is. I'm just.
if
But it
6,
repeats
then
over and
God,
over.
6, therefore God.
Isn't the Mandelbrot some really simple like math equation like that, just repeating over and over? I don't know. I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just the repetition where it circles back around to where.
I think this conversation is a Mandelbrot set.
Yeah.
You mean it's
Oh,
so
listen,
deep and it goes on
It's
forever?
sort of like a.
It's something. Alright.
that it's rough
Deep in-
and below Blitz.
Deep enough, we should have brought boots. Listen, Nate, I'm sure you're a lovely individual in real life, and I'd love to have this conversation at some time, but I don't know if this is that time. I think we want to get into some linear discussions, and I don't know if this meets the linear burden.
Yeah. You're trying to talk about
Well,
dynamical
you-
systems, and we're more interested in a linear discussion.
Turns out,
Indeed.
dynamical systems are very nonlinear, actually.
Yeah.
But thanks for
Well,
being
But
here.
dri-
I did-
drive safe.
I did.
Don't drive in live, Nate. It's dangerous and it's against the rules, and we know you're lying to us.
Yeah.
We have some super chats that we should read before we move on.
Indeed. Let me grab the super chats from our friends. C-Bar, thank you for the $4.99 super thanks. Really appreciate that, friend. And Aaron. Oh, I need to move the super chat. There we go. So it's more readable. Perfect. Aaron, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Aaron says, it's pretty obvious you guys are awesome. Keep up
So
the good
sweet.
work. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate that, friend. And you're awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel. And our friend
Aaron is
Unashamed
awesome.
he really is. Unashamed Apostate in the house says, I'm late. Did I miss all the evidence for God? You missed it. We all converted just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. I was very
We'll see.
compelled by spheres exist, therefore God exists.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out Jordan Peterson is actually the greatest evangelist ever to live, capable of converting even the most heinous of atheists.
Indeed. Which is interesting for a guy who doesn't actually claim to be a Christian, but what are you
Yeah,
going to do?
you'd think that he'd convert himself.
All right, we're gonna get Peter in here, and Ian, your profile.
Wait,
dropped out.
is that the Peter?
Yeah,
Fucking better not have.
I'm trying to mute, but I can't.
Peter, what are you doing? Be honest.
Are you?
I'm on TikTok live. Trying to talk about
Are you
how God
prepared?
isn't real.
Can you just be helpful? Why am I doing all of this?
Yeah.
Again, we're slipping back into
Peter,
the thing.
take care of your woman.
Or mom?
Or mom?
No.
Peter, you're in the doghouse.
No, my
You
phone's
gotta
bugging.
prioritize, Peter.
I am. I'm tripling down though. Don't talk about that. Let's talk about topic.
That's never good advice. Never triple down. Doubling down is fine. Tripling down, too far.
You
Amazing.
Maybe
So
we-
I'm thinking God's in egregor.
You're
That's
here,
my
great.
opinion.
you get yourself ready. You okay there?
Hey, do you want to bring me up?
Oh, I'm multitasking. Let's keep the conversation going.
Justin, you want to bring me up?
Yeah. All right, let me grab Ian. Bring Ian up. And Peter, you got a bad connection, and there's nothing but background noise on your connection.
Yeah.
And I know you think you're multitasking, but you're actually not. You're dropping. Come back when you're ready to have a conversation.
Yeah, we would love to debate you, but it kind of sounds like you're already in a debate.
You know, happy spouse, happy house. So take care of that
That's right.
stuff.
All right, we've got Kay with us. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Doing
good. Thanks
alright.
for asking. Kay, are you at least 18, and do you believe in some kind of a God?
I do. I was actually raised in a very Christian family, and it's more than like believing in God. It's like the decisions that I make up to this day, where it was brought into my everyday life. Everything I do is based on, am I pleasing the higher power, or am I doing the right thing? I just really wanted to come in here and ask some questions on, is there any proof against God?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah,
Depends on
lots.
which one you're referring to, of course.
The-
Jesus. Sorry, Christianity is my religion.
Yeah,
that's
I
going
think.
to be a tough one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think like the most obvious piece of evidence is just the evidential problem of evil. You know, there's lots of evils in the world that are just horrible. Things like cancer, malaria. God could have easily like tipped off the police to like serial unalivers that wouldn't have violated anyone's free will. So I guess like I don't know. That's one thing I've been interested in. Like, why wouldn't God tip off the police if there's like somebody who's going around like taking people's lives and the police are like investigating it, but they can't figure out who it is? Like, why wouldn't he just like tell them?
Anonymously, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I completely understand too. I want to make it very clear on my like the way that I was raised, and since I have been Christian my whole entire life, everything that is told to me, my mind wants to believe everything against it. It's like it contradicts itself to believe the truth necessarily. So that's the whole reason I came on here, just to kind of listen and actually get a second opinion and hear some sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I think
but that
when
just
it
doesn't
comes,
really seem like an answer to the question, right?
Yeah.
I guess like in your view, don't you think it would be better if God like tipped off the police in situations like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then that's good evidence against God's existence, because there's something that would be good for God to do that God doesn't do. So that would be evidence that he's not all good because there's a moral obligation that he's not fulfilling.
Right. I completely understand that. And it's just being in this religion and being around so many people that have these same topics and these same ideas, but they're only spoke to by other Christians. So they give you reasons and reasons and reasons on why the things like that does happen and God does stay hands off. So everything that I know is just really information from other Christians that's the only information I can get.
But it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because there's multiple religions out there. There's so many Bibles, and there's so much horrific things that happen in the world. Just so much that I cannot comprehend, and I guess a religion is kind of something to hold on to, some form of hope.
I mean, you can have that without religion, right?
yeah, that was
Absolutely.
my thought. Like, you can believe in a God without a religion, right?
What did you say? I'm sorry, it cut out.
I'm saying I agree with Dr. Blitz. I mean, you can have a God without a religion. Like, you don't need the religion.
Right,
You can
absolutely.
have hope without a god, even.
That's true.
Hope, for example, hope of nirvana if you're Buddhist. Many Buddhists are atheists, and they still have a hope that they're going to one day achieve nirvana and escape the endless cycle, right?
Right. My brother's actually in that same kind of stage where he just worships a god. No specific god.
That's not what I said. But
It's like
my
it's
point is,
sorry.
you don't need
halfway
a,
there.
yeah, right.
Well, let me ask a question, Kay. If there is a God, what do you think we could know about it?
Honestly, I'm not too sure other than the historical stuff that is supposedly placed in history. The only things that I for sure know that maybe I can say I know this is points throughout history and the Bible marking some of these times.
Sure. And I think when we go to, well, the Bible seems to describe a God, and therefore we can trust that the Bible is telling us something true about God. What about the Bible would lead one to conclude that it's giving us an accurate representation about God as opposed to the Quran or the Vedas or any other book?
That's my exact thought as well, brother. I just don't understand. If they all mean the same thing, then why are they all separated and different?
Yeah. And why do they disagree with each other, which is another big problem, right? Because if the God of the Quran is different than the God of the Vedas, and the God of the Vedas is different from the God of Christianity, it seems like really only one of them can be right, but they can all be wrong. And I think for me, it seems most likely that they're all wrong. And I think one of the reasons why like we tend to put the Bible as primary in the Western world is just because we grew up with it. But there's really no good reason to make that like the go-to text for trying to figure out what God is, because we can just use our own critical thinking faculties, which is why Ian brought up the problem of evil, right? Because, you know, the Bible says that God is good and that God is love. But certainly that couldn't be true if he created a world that's full of unnecessary suffering. So I can't imagine, like, I don't know if you have children. I've got a child. I can't imagine ever causing my child unnecessary suffering. I think we all agree that sometimes we put our children through things that they don't like because it is necessary, like getting a vaccine. However, we would never do anything unnecessary, right? But if this is true of God, if God is a good father and he loves his creation, why does he unnecessarily and mercilessly destroy his creation through natural disasters?
Absolutely. I absolutely see it the same way, brother. I've gone through a lot
That
of
was a
big phase
question.
here lately that's made me question these things. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said that was a question, right?
Or I don't know.
am I
You're just
incorrect?
saying
Was-
like you.
It sounds like Kay agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I very much agreed with you. There is a lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering going on, and me, myself, to put myself into it, I feel like I've done a lot right in my life, necessarily for God, for my faith. I treated people right. I've always done right by people, giving the shirt off my back when I had nothing for myself. But I'm in this spot now to where I feel like all I have is my faith because I've lost everything else. And I'm starting to even question my faith because why am I in this spot if I've done everything right by God?
I mean,
It's a good question.
That's fair. Yeah. And I think the question of unanswered prayer is a big one because we're told over and over again in the Bible that if you pray for something, that God will give it to you. And he says, even if you have a little as faith as a mustard seed, you can throw a mountain into the water. So like, if that's the case, if Jesus says, pray for anything in my name and I'll do it for you, and then people are praying for just like the bare necessities, like, hey, can I have food to feed my children? And they're not able to get it. It sounds like the book just isn't true, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many starving kids in the world, and if God went around and was healing blind people, I just think as of today, children are being used in bombings and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. I'm sorry if I'm
Yeah, you
wrong.
got to be
You're
careful
not.
with.
Definitely don't.
I'm very
but
sorry. I'm
it's
very
okay,
sorry
it's
about
okay.
that, guys.
You're good.
But yeah, I just don't really understand. It's like a lot of it contradicts itself, and hell, even I'm starting to contradict myself with my beliefs. I feel like.
Well, it sounds like you're probably looking at the whole system through a little bit of a logical lens and realizing that there are like some severe plot holes. It's like the first time you watch one of your favorite movies and realize there's a giant plot hole, and you're like, how the fuck did the producers miss that, right? Well, once you start noticing it with your religion, it happens over and over again. You start realizing that there's actually a lot of plot holes here, and there's not a lot of good answers for them.
Absolutely. My main motive, I feel like, for my Christianity at this point, to kind of summarize it, is I'm kind of hanging on by fear. The main reason I'm holding on to it is by fear. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to make the wrong decision. I feel like.
I really get that. So like when you're in Christianity, I think one of the things that they really put front and center is this idea that, what Jesus said, basically, no man comes to the Father except through me, which would lead one to believe that, hey, if I don't believe in this Jesus stuff, that I'm actually just going to be going to hell. But I don't know if that's a necessary belief even within Christianity. For example, the Catholics and others that are quasi-Catholic believe in purgatory, where decent people can go and then eventually, pay for their sins and then end up in paradise. You don't actually have to go to hell in some of the Christian denominations unless you're like truly wicked. And even in Matthew 25, when Jesus comes back to judge, what does he judge them on? He judges them based on whether or not they behaved in a way that was good, as opposed to whether or not they believed a thing. And so I don't know if hell is even a necessary component for most Christians to believe in. That being said, if you believe that God is good, why in the world would he send anybody to eternal conscious torment for just not being convinced of something? Like if somebody did something evil, we would expect that a judge would put them in prison for a particular amount of time, right? But then even if they did something evil, they'd get out eventually. Unless you're on death row or you get life in prison, you did something horrific, right? But it's never infinite. Like we would never punish somebody infinitely. So this idea that not only would God punish you infinitely, but in the worst way possible by literally lighting you on fire for all of eternity, this doesn't seem to match with the idea that God is good and loving. So if you believe in an evil God, yeah, be afraid of hell. But if you believe in a good God, hell shouldn't really figure into anything. No good God would punish you for all of eternity, the most horrific torment possible, just because you couldn't be convinced of something.
Absolutely. I never understood the term hell and it being used for people who don't do things the right way. And that's where people that are bad go. If anything, I feel like an all-loving God should cater more to the bad people that he created. I mean, if he knows how their whole life is going to play out and what they're going to do in their life, then why is there a hell, and why does he create them knowing what they're going to do? It just all contradicts itself.
Right. And Romans chapter 9 literally says that these people were vessels of wrath created for destruction, which means, according to the New Testament, according to Paul, God literally created people for no other purpose than to go to hell, which is a horrific thing to believe. And it's not even necessary. To be sure, within like proper Judaism, this isn't what they believed. The New Testament took the idea of hell as it showed up in late Second Temple Judaism and turned it into something that even they didn't believe in. So like when you read about hell in the New Testament, just know that like it's an amalgamation of centuries of teachings on hell, and they kind of invent their own hell doctrine. Like it's just, and as far as we can tell, it was done to trick people, to make people afraid to not believe in this, right? You wouldn't need this doctrine of hell to be the way it is unless you were trying to convince people that, well, you need to believe this thing, because if you don't believe this thing, you'll burn forever eternity. But that's something that really is only in the New Testament. You won't find that in the Old Testament. You certainly won't find it necessarily in like the Jewish doctrines. They needed to invent this to scare people.
And scaring people is a good way to get people to join your religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what most of it is based off of, is fear. I mean, I feel like I learned about hell before I even learned about heaven. I mean,
me too.
Yep, that checks out.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm 100% with you.
Old. I was probably 3 years old the first time I remember having consciousness. Is what I'm kind of going back to.
That sounds abusive, to be honest. Telling a 3 or 4-year-old that if they don't do XYZ, they'll be tortured forever.
Absolutely, right. I see it the same way. And I mean, there's so many other children around the whole entire world being told different stuff about different gods and different places they'll go if they do these things. And I feel like I fell a victim to it, kind of, almost. And now I'm kind of stuck in this mindset that I was raised up in, and I feel like I can't question outside of this box.
I've definitely been in your position before. It took me a long time to deconstruct. That's like the one thing that I'm passionate about, because I grew up in a culture where everybody was Christian. I was a Christian for a long time, and I committed myself to go all the way through Bible college and seminary before I had enough to I can say, okay, this is nonsense. So like, I get the struggle. I was in that struggle for damn near 10 years. But to be sure, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Keep using your critical thinking faculties. Keep questioning. I know people get uncomfortable when you ask questions, but never stop asking questions, because you can't get answers if you don't ask questions. So, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you're on the right path, and we really appreciate you being here. Let us stop in if you need anything. Let us know how you're doing, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Really, I do. Thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
Thanks,
Cheers, friend.
Have a good day.
1 down, 2 billion to go.
I know, right? I know. Friends, we got another super chat from Forum. Great to see you, Forum.
I love reading Forum's name. It's just fun to say. Forum Galorum.
It's a good use of syllables. Forum Galorum says, was Monty Python's Life of Brian historically accurate? More so than the Bible, if I had to guess. Like, if I was going to put a wager on how Jesus became the Messiah, I think Monty Python got it.
I actually wouldn't be surprised that there were a bunch of people who were like, confused for him, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We got another $10 from Forum, by the way, just now.
Forum, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Forum says, in movies, heaven resembles a frozen food section at a grocery store, ambient light from the sides, misty frost from below. What if all you get is an eternity of frozen pizza, peas, and carrots? Oof.
I learned yesterday why peas, carrots, and broccoli are very, very common in frozen foods, and it's because they hold their shape well. Unlike lettuce, when you reheat them, when you freeze them, and so on, these common vegetables, cauliflower too, hold their shape well, and they hold their volume well. So you can say that it'll. You can kind of like say that it's a lot of food, and it's easier to sell that way.
That makes sense. And also, what kind of a nonsense would it be? It'd be horrible to be stuck in an eternity with frozen pizza, and you can't cook it because all the fire's in hell. So it's
true. Or can you cook it with holy light?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it's like some sort
concentrate
of like...
it.
Yeah. Get a big old magnifying glass, right?
There's a possibility there. All right, we're gonna get LI6UID trades into the conversation here.
Nice.
Sounds good to me.
How you doing, brothers?
How you doing, Li? What should we call you? What's your title?
Liquid's cool.
What's that?
Liquid is cool.
Okay.
Liquid. Oh,
the 6 is supposed to be Liquid.
Oh,
is that a Q?
It's a Q. It's just upside down.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Hey,
Liquid.
So you guys, in a sense, more or less think a lot logical other than spiritual, correct?
You could say that.
Okay, so based off that fact, right? Let's say you're thinking about something. You don't see it, but you realize it's there in your head, right?
You mean like when you visualize something? Like if you're visualizing an apple,
Yes.
The apple's not actually there, but you can visualize it? Most people can,
Yes.
Not everybody can.
Okay, so there's a different basis from the mind, body, and spirit, right? What is the body
Where
or
did the
flesh
spirit come
naturally
in?
want to do?
We don't believe in
No,
spirits.
I'll
spirit
get
come
to it.
in
I'll
there?
get to it. Let me just make my point, brother.
Okay.
Okay. So what does the flesh naturally want? It wants to conquer. It wants greed. It wants to lust, right? It wants
Do
all these
not
different-
project your problems on us. We don't have
Well,
those
that's
problems.
not true. It depends how you're raised.
No,
right? If you
it's
raise
not.
somebody well,
That's the
then they
thing.
won't
There's a
want
difference
those
between
things.
awareness and being aware of it, or kind of saying, "Oh, it's not there. I don't have it." Because when you say
Also,
that,
I don't know
that's
how
coming from an
I don't know how you're
egotistical
saying the
standpoint.
flesh wants something when that's just what your brain wants or what your mind wants. Like people who want to conquer don't want to conquer because like their liver desires blood. It's because their brain desires blood or whatever it might be.
Yeah, damn livers.
But there's a difference between what the animalistic nature in you wants and the mind
That's part
wants,
of your
right?
brain.
Because when
No,
let's say you go to
that's part of your
college,
mind.
right? Brother,
That
brother,
is your
can I finish
mind.
my point, please?
I mean,
As long as you
Okay.
stop equivocating, yeah.
But naturally,
to
let's
be
say
sure, we're gonna say
in
the same
countries that
thing
don't have
every time.
in countries that don't have well-educated things, right? What do people naturally go to? Their animalistic instincts, more or less.
Ooh,
Is that correct?
seems
Yeah.
racist.
That's some
That's not
racist stuff
racist.
there.
That's it. Uneducated people, more or less, start going to animalistic instincts.
What do you think
These
wouldn't
animalistic
call
natural
any
instincts are?
humans
receptors that we have,
animalistic.
these natural, characteristics that we have.
What are animalistic instincts? Because like I've had lots of animals, and typically they want to be loved and fed.
Exactly,
true.
and we're the same way. All right,
I agree. Yeah, we want to be
animals,
loved and fed. Yeah.
And sheltered.
exactly.
Base
But in that
animal
sense,
instinct.
we're a lot more aware and conscious than those animals, are we not? Because we could talk to each other, we're more aware, and we could build something based off of that awareness, right?
No, I don't think so. I think we have greater abstract thinking capabilities, but we're not more aware. Like awareness is just a state.
Yeah, I don't really know,
Awareness
right? Like
is
there's
consciousness.
like certain animals can see just like literally more frequencies of light than us. Certain animals have a wider range of vision than us. Like I agree we're better intellectually at some things, where humans are clearly quite capable, but I don't think that it's like, we're not the best at everything.
Well, the thing is to understand a whole perspective, you have to humble yourself and not just view your perspective to a certain extent. You know,
should take those words. Yeah.
brother, I've met multiple people. I've met people that haven't went to
I
college.
too have
went
met
to
multiple
college,
people.
brother, you're coming from an egotistical standpoint. All right, I'm just trying to break it down for you, the fundamentals. So you can
It's not
understand the parable that I'm
egotistical
making, right?
to agree that we have all met multiple people.
Brother, I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you.
No one
We don't
thinks
think
you are.
Wait, but okay, I just
Okay,
want
but based off that, let's
I
get
just
back
want
to
the
God
evidence
isn't
that
real,
God
right?
exists still. I feel like so far I have flesh wants horrible things, that we have like an animal nature and like a mind, like a human nature, and that when non-educated people they go and do animalistic things, and like humans are pretty cool. When do we get to God?
All right, brother. Can I get to it?
Please.
From your
Please.
standpoint, what do you think God is? Do you think God is good, bad? Is it one or the other?
Non-existent.
Non-existent? All right. Well, based off that fact, what is the world? The world is just about just, right? We're just in the right place to exist.
What?
We're just in the right magnetic
about
frequency to
just?
exist.
What
right?
what do those
What?
words mean?
Yes, just about just. Is the world not right where it needs to be, or else we would freeze to death, or we would burn
Well,
to
no,
a
I mean
crisp?
the world moves like 3 million miles closer to the sun every year, and then 3 million miles further away from the sun, depending on what season it is. So
And
Okay,
also,
and
like a
based
third
off
of the
that,
Earth is
would we not
entirely
burn up?
uninhabitable.
I
What
would
was
say
that?
like more than a third, because 70% of it's ocean.
Yeah.
True. And that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of all of the galaxies that are also uninhabitable. The universe just doesn't look like it was designed for us at all. I mean, if God made the universe with us in mind, why would he wait 13 billion years before creating humans?
Time is our conceptualization. We put time into a box, whereas if there is an overall creator, he's
Time,
not limited by
time
it.
isn't in a box.
You're thinking from a human perspective and not
Clocks
an
are circular,
omnipresent
not box
perspective.
shaped.
The
I can't
world's
help but feel
circular.
like that didn't
The
answer the
clock's
question.
circular.
Why wouldn't we be here from the beginning if God made the universe for us?
Let's say you're creating something, right? You want to get to the finishing project. You want to make a world for somewhere to live so that these people can understand a certain learning concept and take something in to understand and learn, right? Because in this world, what are we doing? Constantly learning, constantly seeing what's good, what's bad.
Well,
what
according to you,
causes
not
fear,
everybody's
right?
constantly learning. Those people with animalistic instincts aren't constantly learning.
But it's in a different version. It's from a different perceptional point.
Okay, so they
all right?
are
Because
they
from
are
us, we're going
learning.
to
Got
college,
it.
So
right? Certain
we're
people-
in 2.0. Are they in 1.0 or beta?
See,
Well,
you're
and
thinking
to
from
be
an
clear,
egotistical standpoint and
We
not
also
a
just didn't
scientific.
get we
like you
just
were
like
saying.
straight up didn't get an answer to the question, right? Why would God wait 13.8 billion years before creating humans? If God wanted humans and that's the only reason why he wanted the universe, why not just make us here from the beginning?
You're still thinking from a human perspective standpoint based off of time.
What other
His
perspective are we
conception of
supposed to
time,
think from?
the
We're humans.
omnipresent perspective of time, creation could just be like that. It's like a fly. Does the fly not move slower because it's based off of its own, gravitational pull and the way it exists? Do we not
Slower
move
than what?
fast? Do we not move slower for them within their view?
I have no idea what you're even talking about, to be perfectly honest.
Let's say there's a fly, right? I'm swaying my hand, right? They're moving faster than me, and they can technically move out the way, right? But if you're from a perception of a fly standpoint, right? Are we not moving slow to them because they're moving faster?
I have no
I think
idea.
from my
I don't even know if
perception,
flies have
somebody is
perspectives.
moving slower. Yes.
Okay, so from the perception of a fly and something is bigger, and let's say I sway my hand in the air, right? For the fly, he's just moving through his perception of time the same way he's always known, right?
I think
But
you're
for us,
referring to comparing
faster
two different
perspective,
things.
right?
It's not a perspective. Listen, none of this has to do anything to do with time. All you're saying is some things
To
move faster
understand
than
the
other
basic
things.
fundamentals of an omnipresent God that you're speaking of, you have to
Buddy-
understand and break down what time is.
But you're not breaking anything down. We know that some objects move faster than other objects. That doesn't mean anything about time yet.
Okay, then based off that perception, if we're small and we're compared, let's say an ant to this world, right? Because we're technically ants on this world, right?
What?
Well, we're not technically
Since
ants on this world.
we're
We are quite technically
brother,
not ants.
We're
wait, I'm trying to break
metaphorically
it down
ants,
so you can
perhaps.
understand pretty easily. You're coming from an egotistical standpoint. Just try to hear me out for a second.
Well,
all
it
right, brother?
sounds like you're
Okay.
the one from an egotistical standpoint.
Yeah, we're coming from like a clear standpoint. Let's just like speak clearly about our ideas.
And you wouldn't
When
be
you say
attacking me, let me
technically
just
we're
explain.
ants, technically we're not. Like that's just false.
Okay.
If you
Well,
want to say
let's
like
say-
metaphorically we're
if-
ants, or
if-
like we're like ants, in like a simile sense, I'd agree with that. But I don't know. Let's just be clear with our language.
Brother. Okay, so let's say we're ants, right? Let's say there's an ant on the table, right? It moves slow, but to our perception, right, it's not that fast, right? Because we're so much larger than it, I'm just watching this ant move, but if I wanted to, I could just put my finger on the table and glide across the table fast, right? So you're thinking from a human perspective standpoint, an ant's perspective. I'm just putting a metaphorical stance so you can understand, right? So let's say there is a creator, and you give it up, and that there is a creator, right? Could that creator not be moving 100 times faster than we are?
You
that
don't want to
13
say that
million
God is
years,
moving.
just your
Yeah,
perception of
you
time that us
certainly
humans
don't
have
want to say
created.
that an omnipresent God is moving. That's not
Yeah, if you think
the
God's
thing.
moving, that means that he's like made out of molecules. You don't want to say that.
Dude's going to
I think he's
super
talking
hell.
about the rate at which it experiences time.
Brother.
That also puts him in space, because things that experience time are going to have a spatial location.
I hope you're not a Christian.
No, yes, I am Christian.
Oh, jeez. Well,
Because
Bring
to
some
understand
air conditioning
science,
with you to
have
hell.
to humble yourself to understand the visualization that something else is a creator. And when you
Because
think
of-
of like
because
that,
of science
you humble
you have to
yourself
do
to
that?
the point and you say, okay,
Yeah.
I understand that us
What's
humans,
your-
we're not the top notch.
what's your highest
not the
level
top
in
one thing
science
here.
education?
Does that matter for the topic at hand?
It kind of does. You said because of science, you must humble yourself
But
and
like you
believe
said,
in God.
those people over in,
So
like,
I'm
let's
just
say,
asking
people
you,
that
what's
don't
your
have
highest
college
level of
experience.
science education?
So now education does matter and it's not based off the mind?
It was your point. We'll try this again. You said because of science, you have to humble yourself and believe in God. I'm trying to figure out how much science you've taken so I can figure out how much I need to take before I have to humble myself.
I didn't say humble yourself to believe in God, humble yourself to understand that, let's say
Listen,
let's say there's a
you
table.
can
It's
equivocate
already
over
made,
terms
right?
tomatoes. You can equivocate over terms that's
Brother.
meaningless. I'm asking you, how much science education do you have?
let's say there's a table, right? It's made. I don't know who
Okay,
made
so
the
you're
table,
not
but
going to
the
answer
table
me
is
because you
there,
don't have any
right?
science
The
education.
table is
Check.
perfectly
Got
made.
it.
It's perfectly
We'll just
made, so I
assume you
can
dropped
eat,
out. Don't
drink,
worry.
and breathe, brother.
What grade did you drop out in?
Hey, you have to humble yourself to truly understand. All right.
What grade did you
I
drop
love
out
you
in?
guys.
Well,
Maybe you just gotta take a step back. I love you.
could you?
I'll
Do you have
keep
any
watching.
evidence before we? I mean, I don't really think anyone cares about the preaching, but do you have any evidence?
Yeah.
It's
So
like a reason to think that.
arguments.
Oh, he left. Okay, sure.
yeah, he wanted to run. We had a guest on the YouTube queue, and they dropped. Friends, if you're watching on YouTube, you can join the conversation by going to tiny.cc/UA guest. There's also a link in the description of the video if you want something that's clickable. You don't want to type it into your browser. We'd love to hear about you and your God. If you're on TikTok, you can join using, the typical TikTok method. Just hit the guest request at the bottom of the screen, and we'd love to hear from you.
We have some super chats, and one of them is pretty funny.
We sure do. Small Johnson, great to see you, friends. Says, hey, you guys are beautiful. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Small Johnson. Good to hear from your friend. Hope you're doing well. Enjoy this Sunday morning. Cameron, thank you for the $20 super chat. Cameron says,
Cameron sent the super chat twice, by the way. It's the same super chat, just twice in a row. But thank you for the $40,
wanted
Cameron.
it answered. Thank you, Cameron. Says, Justin, sorry for this. Can you please explain your views on logic versus what Ian views are? I would like to hear your differences. Love all of you. No problem,
we'll
Cameron.
debate right now. That's the next debate.
I don't believe in any transcendentals. Not a single transcendental category in my worldview exists, and my understanding is that Ian has a different take.
Is that a transcendental category, Justin?
Bold take.
It is not.
Take.
Is that proposition true?
Transcendental is just
truth doesn't
refer
exist.
to like necessary preconditions for a specific thing. So it depends. Like I guess there aren't like inherent transcendentals. It's like a transcendental for what? Like a transcendental for experience, a transcendental for knowledge, a transcendental for like what part of our like psychological reality. So certainly there does seem to be like certain transcendentals. You might say that, for example, like the brain is a transcendental for like conscious experience if you're a physicalist, or you might say that I don't know, like truth or justification is a transcendental for knowledge if you take knowledge to be like justified true belief. It's a question of how you cash those things out, though. I think that you could be a nominalist about those things, although I think for some of them it's difficult. I also think nominalism, which is like the belief that there aren't universals, kind of runs into the problem that it smuggles in universals, because what nominalists want to say is that things like resemble each other, but then instead of having like a universal relation, instead you have like resemblance as what it ends up being like effectively a universal. You need like a universal like resemblance relation between things. So I don't know. I'm pessimistic about nominalism, but I don't think it's like an insane position or something.
Yeah.
Based nominalism? Let's go.
We've got also $5 super chat from a friend. Shady says the technically we are ants argument is bold and innovative, and I'm glad I could see it implemented in Discord. Innovative indeed.
It's like technically we have 6 legs.
I'm
we also have mandibles.
We got rid of the queen. What are you talking about?
What do you mean we got rid of the queen?
Yeah,
I think old age got rid of the
years
queen.
Ago.
Oh boy. All right, let's get our next guest in here. I think it's gonna be Idon or Idon. We'll find out. Is it Idon or
my guess
Idon?
is Idon.
Hey, Idon.
Idon. Welcome in, Idon. Idon, are you at least 18? And do you believe in some kind of a god?
Yes, I do.
Cool. And what god do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Cool.
The whole Bible.
Sure, yeah. So
the whole Bible.
Your opinion, what's the most convincing evidence or argument that the Christian God is real?
Well, because first I would assume there must be God to be the creator. Okay.
Why would we need a creator?
Bold claim.
Just because we do. And that creator would be the Christian God, because how many gods do you even know of?
We need a creator because we do, and that creator's the
Christian God.
Okay.
Strong argument. You guys convinced?
So what if I don't accept that we need a creator? What then?
We do, because how else would the Big Bang have started?
Through some physical
how would it have
process?
expanded? Huh?
Through some physical process?
There's no process.
Dr. Blitz, wrap up this cosmology stuff. There's no process.
Have you considered the possibility that
I've never thought about that before. There's just no process. Do you have like real evidence or like a real argument? Because now you're just like affirming your conclusion over and over again. You think God made it. I could hold that there's some sort of physical process that leads to the Big Bang.
Great. Okay. So all of these things, these answers, these questions are actually revealed to in the Bible, because it says there that God spoke. He said, "Let there be light." So that
wait a minute. I'm sorry. Can you if that's the case, can you explain how spontaneous symmetry breaking occurred in the early universe? Because I'd love to know the answer of how we got the strong nuclear force from a grand unified force. That'd be really awesome. Is that somewhere in the Bible?
Citation Genesis 1.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
can you summarize it for me?
Okay. So you're talking about different fundamental forces that came after another time. So, there's a different model. So like magnetism and gravity, all of these things started to occur at some point after the Big Bang, right? Because
and you said that all of these unanswered questions, these can all be found in the Bible, right? So like where's
right? Okay.
Can you point to me the verse that explains how we go from grand unification to a strong force and an electroweak force, please?
The first set of forces, it was a set of 4, right?
No. I'm asking how you go from 2 to 3.
Okay. Well, first you have to go from
because that's a currently unanswered question in the early universe.
Okay. Well, we're coming at this foundationally different, because you're asking like a technical scientific question.
Yeah.
And I'm saying
I thought that's
so are you, right?
I thought that's where you said the answers are. We have these unanswered questions.
I'm explaining the foundations of the universe to say that the creator.
That sounds like a technical scientific question.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I'm explaining 1 to 4, because first there was 4. There was 4 fundamental forces.
Okay? Well, now you're just getting the facts wrong. There weren't 4 at first.
Oh, okay. Where magnetism and gravity and electromagnetism, these are some of the earliest forces.
Yeah. So what we know for a fact is that if you go back far enough, there were only 3. And it's speculated that at some point there were only 2, and it's further speculated that at some point even further back there was only 1.
Right. So to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, that process is foundationally found in the Bible.
What verse?
From 1 to 4.
Yeah, citation needed.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the description. In fact, if the Bible includes the Lagrangian that describes the spontaneous symmetry breaking, that'd be amazing. I'd love to.
Could you imagine? It's like the first chapter is just like a bunch of fucking equations.
Okay, so
I would be a believer.
Like it might convert to Judaism.
Yeah,
I mean, like somebody clearly they knew something 3,000 years ago.
Okay, so
yeah, then Jesus in the New Testament, he's like laying out like exactly
he's like computing scattering amplitudes or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's like laying out his theory of like quantum gravity.
That'd be pretty baller.
Right. So when Jesus turned water into wine, right? How was he able to do that?
He didn't. Easy answer.
He didn't do it. Okay.
Didn't
did.
Happen.
Oh, he just did.
Ian, have you considered?
He's able to control chemistry.
So have I. I've done it.
God. So he's explaining other processes.
It's not hard to convert water to wine. It just takes like 6 months and a bunch of grapes.
Right, but Jesus did it immediately, instantly.
Prove it.
At a wedding.
Go ahead and demonstrate that.
Yeah, demonstrate that's the case.
Well, that's in John.
So
if we
what?
believed the book of John, then we would already believe in God.
Yeah. This is like saying that Muhammad split the moon in 2 because it says so in the Hadith.
Okay, but if Jesus is able to turn water into wine, it demonstrates
But
that he is God on earth. Because in the same way
But he
that God is
didn't.
able to
Interestingly
create,
enough, it actually
he is
doesn't
able to
demonstrate
come
that
on
he's
earth
God.
and create.
Even if we
Yeah,
granted that he could turn water into wine instantly, that actually doesn't prove a God. That doesn't prove anything.
How?
I
It
mean, like,
proves that
there are
no one
alternative
else could turn
explanations,
water
right?
into
Could just be alchemy.
It could be
Yeah, but-
it could be like aliens. It could be literally magic. He could be a
Yeah,
sorcerer.
but nobody can do it right now.
Maybe nobody else is a
Even if
high enough
somebody
level
can do it right
sorcerer.
now with
Maybe
today's
he was level 20.
Even with today's technology, it's not possible.
It is
Yeah, that's
possible.
because they're not doing sorcery.
Yeah.
Not immediately at a wedding, 6 barrels of water into wine.
I did it
How
on a
is that
live
possible?
stream.
No, nobody's done it. Only
No,
Jesus Christ has done it, which
I did
proves
it
that he could
on a
control
live
chemistry.
stream. I did it on a live stream. It's recorded on YouTube somewhere.
Okay, well, it's not in the book. Dude, come on. Okay, so you're diminishing the miracles of Jesus, but
He
that's
didn't
the
perform
point
any
of-
miracles. You just keep saying he did. Prove that he actually did.
all the things that are written down.
Why are you diminishing the miracles of Muhammad?
I'm not.
Oh,
So-
but they're written down.
When did you hear me do that?
But do you believe
Was the
that
moon
Muhammad
split in
split the
two?
moon in two?
What does it matter if he did or didn't?
Well,
Well, if he
it
did,
matters
then
quite
Islam's
substantially.
true.
Yeah.
How is
If
it-
you split the moon, then we need to start saying the Shahada is why it matters.
Praying 5 times a day towards Mecca, you know.
Yeah.
No, because he's still not Jesus Christ. So you have to understand, Jesus
but
Christ
We'll
is
try this again.
he was already
Jesus isn't
crucified and
Muhammad.
resurrected.
No, he didn't do any of that stuff. Those are the things you have to prove still yet.
It's again written down in all the Gospels.
But the Gospels
prophesized,
say things that aren't
been-
true.
Been attested to all throughout history.
But the Gospels
all of the
aren't
early
true.
church-
Just to be clear, the Gospels don't say
opinion.
true things.
No, what's
Want me to
not
show
true
you?
about the Gospel?
Want me to show you the
Okay.
first one?
Yeah, prove
It's
the
literally-
Gospels aren't true.
The first chapter of the earliest gospel contains an error. You barely had to get into history before you had an error in there. I'm going to show it to you right now. Let me put it on the screen.
Your census?
And there's another one. No, that's in Luke and Matthew. I'm talking about Mark. Trust me, that is an error as well. But give me a second to pop this on the screen. All right, you should be able to see this. This is Mark chapter 1. And it says, in the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, as it is written in the prophet Isaiah, see, I'm sending my messenger ahead of you who will prepare your way. The voice of the one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Now, can you find me this part of the quotation in Isaiah? I'd love to know where that's at.
What is the? Does it say B and C? Does it give the reference?
Yeah, you're never going to guess where it's found. Do you think it's going to be found in Isaiah?
I hope so. I don't know what it's going to say.
No, it's not found in Isaiah. Do you know where it's found?
Is it a different I think it's maybe a different prophet. Is it Malachi?
Yeah, it's Malachi. Yep, Malachi chapter 3.
Okay.
Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, which means
That's
Mark
awkward.
didn't even know who he's quoting. Matthew makes the same mistake, by the way, in Matthew 27.
It's almost like Matthew copied Mark.
Yeah. Can you imagine copying
Okay,
off
so
of somebody
maybe
else's
it's- maybe
homework
it's
and they
not-
got the
maybe it's
question
not-
fucking wrong?
It sounds like
Crazy
God
part is how Matthew quotes his own conversion story from Mark.
Okay, well,
That'd be like
maybe it's not a
hold on,
mistake.
that'd be like it'd be like if your teacher assigned you an autobiographical essay for your exam and then you copy off your friend.
So, but you're just saying this is a mistake. It's not a
Did
mistake.
It sounds like it's a
Isaiah
mistake.
say it? We'll start from the
Obviously,
beginning. Okay.
He might have.
Did
He might
Isaiah
actually said it.
Okay,
What-
go,
what is-
go
what
and
is
find
this
this in
actually
Isaiah
saying?
for me. Go and find this in Isaiah. And please tell me why every Bible scholar and all the Bible translators know that this is a quotation from Malachi, but you're the one that got it right.
I
Show me
said
in
it was
Isaiah
Malachi.
where it says it. Well, it's not Isaiah then. That means Mark's
No,
wrong.
what it's saying is there's
Mark
a
says that it
connection-
comes from Isaiah.
Yeah, there's a connection between Isaiah and Malachi.
Yeah, but
that-
he said it was written in the prophet Isaiah.
There's a connection between the prophet Isaiah and Malachi.
He didn't
So I
say
guess
anything
the
about a
don't you know-
connection.
is in Malachi.
Justin, don't you know, obviously, Mark was referring to the fact that Isaiah literally had it tattooed on his innards. It was written in the prophet Isaiah.
To be clear, too, typically what Christians will say is some nonsense. That is like Isaiah was quoting Malachi. And that's not true either, because not only does it not show up on Isaiah, but Isaiah lived before Malachi.
Yeah.
You're off by
I mean,
250
Isaiah-
years.
He's referring to Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53
He's
is about
certainly
Israel.
not referring to Isaiah
Yeah,
53.
because there's a lot of references to Isaiah 53. And then
Show
even
me-
when Jesus,
Show me in
later on
Isaiah
when Jesus
53 where it
reads
says,
the
"See, I'm
first scroll
sending
of
my
Isaiah,
messenger ahead of you." I want to see
Yeah,
that
when
quotation.
When Jesus reads from the scroll of Isaiah in the synagogue, he says, "These scriptures have been fulfilled
Oh,
in."
you don't want
and
to
he
do
tried to
that.
throw him
Oh
off of a
no, Eden.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's
All
later
right.
in Mark.
Well, no, that's in Luke chapter 4, and this is not.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to like this one at
Tried to
all.
throw him off a cliff because he said it's.
Well,
fulfilled
that's a
in me.
different. That's a different story. No. So in Luke chapter 4, he quotes from Isaiah 61 while he's in the synagogue, which is, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind," something that's not actually in Isaiah 61, "to set free those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." So not only does he misquote Isaiah 61, he says, then he began to say to them, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." But Isaiah 61 not only is not about Jesus, it also just didn't come true. Have you read Isaiah 61 before?
Yeah, I read the whole Isaiah.
And did you make it to verse number 4?
Okay, Isaiah 61 verse 4.
If you just read the
They
whole
will
chapter,
rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is the restoration prophecy for the nation of Israel after the Babylonian captivity. This is not about a Messiah.
Also, it didn't happen.
Yeah, the restoration of Israel. Are you?
Which certainly
not
didn't
helping
happen when
current
Jesus
events?
was around. They got
It
devastated
also
by
hasn't
the
happened
Romans.
now. I mean, the temple
Yeah, it
hasn't been
happened.
rebuilt, right? Has the
Yeah,
temple
it's
been
been
rebuilt?
Yeah,
Where is the third temple?
on the Temple Mount.
You mean that's a mosque, my guy?
Okay, so what? There's something there.
Wait, how do you
Jews
say
aren't allowed in
Shahada?
it.
What is it?
Built. Like this prophecy that we're reading has literally come true.
It literally hasn't.
So there is a third temple, a third
it
Jewish
has.
temple that exists on the Temple Mount.
Okay, well, let's say there's a third Jewish temple that happens in 100 years or 30 years.
Well, then it
Then are
hasn't
you
come
gonna
true,
be-
my guy. That would be
Yeah,
the
but in
future.
30 years, yeah. What do you mean? You think with this administration, it's not going to be on its way?
Wait,
Yeah,
so you're saying
I-
that there's
I
a
think that
mosque
there'd be
there?
a world war before
Okay,
the Jews
so there'll
get
be a
their
world war,
temple on the
whatever.
Temple Mount.
Okay, so we both agree that there's going to be a temple in a few years.
No, I said I think
No.
that there would be a third world war before that happens.
Okay, we'll see. But there's going to be a third temple, and then what?
Well, and then nothing,
And then
because the
you'll
New
say-
Testament's not
you'll
true.
find some other excuse, or you see how another prophecy has happened.
Are you relying on
we're
a
not gonna be
future
the-
thing?
We're not
happening?
going to be the one finding the excuse. That's going to be your job after nothing happens.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not
he'll
your
just
job
say
after it does happen.
Yeah,
He'll just
to
say,
be
"Oh,
sure,
it's going to happen next year."
To be
Oh,
sure,
well,
Isaiah-
there's
whatever.
more
10
prophecies
years,
that need to
30
come
years.
and pass.
All the prophecies
Isaiah
have
Don't worry,
been
Mom.
fulfilled.
61.
Look,
Don't worry, Mom. I'll get an A next year. I
Israel,
promise.
the ancient ruins have already been rebuilt. So
Which
we already
ones?
read the prophecy was fulfilled.
2,000
You find
years
a way
after
to deny
Jesus
that,
died.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, but actually, like, which ruins have been rebuilt?
The whole country
It has not.
is bad.
The country isn't
Remember?
ruins. Which ruins have been rebuilt?
There were ruins. So Israel was gone for 2,000 years.
There
And then
weren't
it got-
ruins. The cities existed. Jerusalem existed for the whole time, right?
All the other cities, there was ruins all over the
What
place.
other cities? What other cities are being referred to here? Bethlehem? Bethlehem has existed.
Hebron, Bethlehem,
Hebron
Nazareth.
has existed the whole time. These are cities that have been continuously lived in for thousands of years.
Okay, well,
So
a lot of it was
what ruins? What ruins?
all over the
What
place
ruins
in
were
Israel. I
rebuilt?
don't know if you've been to Israel, you can see them.
I've been there. They haven't been rebuilt.
Okay. Well, some ruins
the fact
have,
that you can still see ruins means that they haven't been rebuilt because there's still ruins.
and you can also see places that have been rebuilt. So some of this, if you go to Tel Aviv, the whole
Can you
place
give me
is
wait,
brand
I'm
new.
sorry. Was Tel Aviv one of the ruins, one of the cities that was
Yeah,
referred
Tel
to back in the
Aviv
day?
is talked about in Ezekiel, which also talks about,
Tel
if you want to go back to
Aviv
your question about,
is not in
yeah,
Ezekiel.
yeah,
I
you
don't
can
I don't
read,
actually think Tel Aviv even existed yet. Yeah, Tel Aviv
this,
didn't exist until the 1880s.
because it was rebuilt
No, it
on
just
Tel
didn't
Aviv.
exist. There was a city called Jaffa, which existed, which is not where Tel Aviv is. It still exists. That city has existed for a very long time. Tel Aviv is near
It's in
where
the book
Jaffa
of
is,
Ezekiel.
but Tel Aviv,
It's not.
Tel Aviv is not anywhere in
Look it up.
the. It's Tel Aviv is. Where's Tel Aviv mentioned in the Bible?
In Ezekiel.
Give us the verse.
Okay, what verse?
Prove us wrong.
I don't have that. I mean, just you have the computer. in front of you.
All of a sudden, he doesn't have it.
Just look up Ezekiel, Tel Aviv. I mean, all the
Okay.
places in the Bible. That's the thing.
To be
That's why
sure,
you just read ancient ruins. All the things that happened in the Bible are happening in today. All the
Oh,
wars.
okay. Wait, hold on. No,
No,
this is actually true. Tel Aviv is mentioned in Ezekiel. It says, Ezekiel 3:15. I came to the exiles who lived at Tel Aviv near the Kebar River. Now, where is the Kebar River? You might ask. The Kebar River is in Babylon, and what's being referred to is Tel Abib, which is a location in Babylon, hundreds of miles away.
Yeah. So
Babylon is Israel now. Holy shit.
Apparently.
Because they were talking about, they rebuild all the things that are in the Bible are being rebuilt. That's the part.
But
of
it's
the
not
ancient
rebuilt
ruins.
if it's a different place.
Well, some things are in different places, and some things are in the same places. Like Jericho.
So they didn't
fell
they
down.
didn't rebuild the ruins of Tel Aviv or Tel Abib.
No, well, Tel Aviv is, Tel Aviv is like
The current city of Tel Aviv was built in the 1880s. It was started as a suburb and then
that's
it became
brand
its own
new.
city.
That's like a brand new city. That's why it's
So
so
why did you
advanced.
cite Tel Aviv as an example of ruins
Because
that were rebuilt?
like I said,
Yeah,
some
to
places
be
are
sure,
completely rebuilt.
Tel
and,
Aviv
like, brand
in
new, like a
Israel
brand new
is not
city,
mentioned in the Bible.
And some places are ancient. It's a mix of both.
It's not.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Tel
to
Aviv
be
is
sure,
brand new.
this entire discussion not only is untrue, it's also irrelevant because this prophecy is not that something is going to happen 2,000 years later. This prophecy, if it has anything to do with Jesus, needed to be done during his lifetime, and it wasn't. The Romans steamrolled the Jewish people when Jesus was around. The only thing Jesus brought was death and destruction.
And it was his fault
he
too.
says that the second, because when he came, because the Daniel 9 prophecy says
Daniel
that the
9 is
Messiah
not
has to
the
come
one you want to do.
That's
You do
the
not. You
70
do not
weeks
want to do Daniel 9.
before the
Oh, boy.
second temple is destroyed. So Jesus
boy.
Christ knew that he had to come and come before the second temple is destroyed. And he even said, not a single stone of this will remain.
So here's a
Two
question.
stones maybe remain.
Relevant question. Did Jesus ever come?
The first
I
time.
mean, he never married. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe Mary Magdalene. But, he had...
Ayo, let's go.
he had his body
Okay,
prepared.
so to be sure, Daniel 9 doesn't say anything about the Messiah. There's no
Yeah,
the
there's
Messiah
prophecy
in
of 70
Daniel
weeks.
9. There's
There's
two
a
different,
timing between the 70 weeks. Yeah.
and
there
you're
you go.
wrong. We'll just read it for you. So there's two anointed figures in Daniel 9. One of them is a priest and one of them is a ruler, most likely Zerubbabel. And it says, 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for iniquity, to bring everlasting righteousness, so on and so forth. And then we get the actual prophecy in 25. Therefore, know therefore and understand from the time that the word went out. Keep in mind, this is past tense. The word already went out because it's referring to the prophecy of Jeremiah, most likely in 605, to restore and to rebuild Jerusalem in the time of an anointed prince. It doesn't say the Messiah. It doesn't say the anointed prince. It says an anointed prince. There's no definite article on the word there.
That's close enough.
There
I'm
shall
good.
be no, you're not good. Keep reading. There shall be 7 weeks. So the first anointed person shows up after 7 weeks. That's it. So this is hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus. And it says, And for 62 weeks it shall be built again with streets and a moat, but in troubled time. After 62 weeks, now we get another one. So there's a second anointed person after 62 weeks. 62 weeks, still
That's
hundreds of years.
Anointed means Messiah.
We all aware of this. We learned this in
Anointed
like
means
high.
Covered with oil, actually.
Yeah. Well, the word Messiah typically is to be anointed. So
Right.
like a king was a Messiah, a priest was a Messiah. Nevertheless, both of these anointed figures show up way, way before Jesus.
Well, there's
Hundreds
the
of years.
Mashiach ben Yosef and the Mashiach ben David. And
That's
Yosef
not in the
comes-
Bible.
Yeah, it is. And that's why you have the
It's
suffering
not.
servant. Isaiah 53
That's not in the Bible.
is about the suffering servant.
That's
Later
not in
on,
the
he
Bible.
comes triumphantly.
None of that's in the Bible.
Isaiah 53.
Not in the Bible. Isaiah 53 is
53
not about a suffering Messiah. There's not even a Messiah mentioned in Isaiah 53. And the Messiah ben David and Messiah ben Yosef, neither of those are in the Bible either. Those are like a Talmudic tradition. You'll find like the most striking reference to that in Sukkah 42. Like the two Messiahs theory is dead in the water if you believe in the New Testament.
You just
there's
read
only
it.
one
You
Messiah.
said the anointed one who is left with nothing. That's Messiah ben Yosef, who comes
It's
humble. And the one we just read it. The verse you just had
It's
up.
not.
That's why
They're
I said it.
separate. They're separated by 62 weeks.
Yeah, they come
Yeah,
at
that's
different
like
times.
less than 2 years.
That's why you have a second coming. So the first time Jesus came 2,000 years ago, he was
The second
crucified and
coming-
resurrected.
The second
The
coming is
second
only
time he's
only
coming back
62
Do not
to
weeks.
come.
Jerusalem. Now
Do
that
not come.
Israel is back. Israel's back.
The
So
second
that's
coming
how we
would have
know.
been
How long
the
has
second
Israel
coming
been back
should
for?
the second coming should have been 430 years after then.
It's within the timeline
So-
because Israel had to come back.
No, it's 62
That only
weeks.
happened in
62 62 weeks is 434 years.
Okay, but Israel's been around since 1948.
No one
So
cares about
it's
Israel.
gonna-
We're not talking about Israel.
That's
We're talking about the
second
weeks.
coming. Israel
Pay
is coming
attention.
back the second
We're
coming
talking about
to
we're talking about the
Israel's-
Hey, pay attention. We're talking about the weeks. There's
Yeah, the weeks are going over
432
different time periods.
There's 432 years between the first Messiah and the second Messiah in Daniel 9, which means if the second showing of the Messiah was Jesus coming back again, it should have happened 1,500 years ago.
Oh, then all because when Jesus comes back, it's going to change history.
It
So we
certainly
wouldn't have
won't.
gotten to this point.
He's not
Wait a
coming
minute.
back.
I'm sorry. Just a quick question. How do you change history if history already happened?
No, when he comes, because he's timeless, so he can understand.
So,
over
like,
a
when
long
he
period of
comes,
time.
like, the past will be different?
No, but the whole rest of the future.
But the future will be
than if
different.
you-
That wouldn't be changing history, just so we're
Well,
clear.
it changes the course of history. Okay,
Gotcha.
so it's going
Okay.
to change the course of history so
You
drastically.
mean it changes the course of the future?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it changes the course of the future.
Why did
So it's
Jesus
not like
say
Jesus is just going to come back
Yeah.
without letting history run its course, and that's why.
Why did Jesus say in
Israel-
Revelation 22:7 that, "See, I'm coming soon. Blessed is the one who keeps the word of this prophecy of this book"? What does "soon" mean?
like timeless? Like we were just talking about the universe.
Soon
which
means
is billions
timeless?
of years. Yeah. So soon is a few thousand
So
years.
Soon is meaningless then.
To someone like Jesus, who's God, who's been since
Is
the
Jesus
creation.
talking to God or is he talking to humans here?
He's talking to both.
Okay, so he's
But-
talking to humans, and every word in here is understood in human terms, isn't it?
And understood in God terms. So it's hard to just take the word soon.
God terms?
Like,
How do you
oh,
know
he didn't
which?
come back soon.
How do you know which words are God words and which words are human words?
They're all
Who's the target
they're all God
audience
words.
here?
They're all God words.
They're all
meant to
God
be
words?
reading this?
If you just look at this and say,
So-
"Oh, Jesus isn't
The
come back
Anunnaki,
soon,
obviously.
therefore I don't
So
believe
coming
it,"
doesn't
like,
mean coming.
Do not
I
come.
love.
Do not
every-
come.
I love how
not
every
come.
word in this
Do not
sentence
come.
means exactly what it means, except for the one word I don't like. The one word I don't like, which is soon,
What do you-
can't mean what it means.
soon. What does soon mean?
In the immediate future.
And so what is the time limit on soon?
The immediate future is soon. Soon can't be 1/3 of all of human history.
Isn't human history like hundreds of thousands of years old?
Not if you're a Christian, it's 6,000 years old.
That's what you believe?
That's what the Bible says.
But what do you believe?
I'm not a Christian. I don't believe the Bible, but the Bible
I asked you
says
what
that
soon
Jesus
means.
that Jesus's
Oh, okay.
lineage goes all the way back to Adam, and if you calculate the lineage, it means the Earth is only about 6,000 years old. So either one of two things is true: the Bible's wrong about the lineage going back to Adam, or well, fuck, the whole thing's wrong.
So you couldn't even answer what soon meant.
I gave you the answer. You weren't listening. It means the immediate future.
And so Jesus failed on saying that at what
Yeah.
point? Oh,
We just
okay.
showed you.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
because
soon
the
enough for you.
because the
But
immediate
Jesus
future isn't.
understands all of human history.
He does
So
not.
he doesn't have
He doesn't
your- if you
understand
believe
anything. So
human
to be
history is
clear,
only
the word
6,000
soon
years.
doesn't mean 1/3 of all of history. It means the immediate future. If I told you I'm coming to your house soon, you wouldn't think that you're going to live 1/3 of your life before I show up.
Okay, but if Jesus is the one who authored all of human history, that
He
means he's
didn't.
been around since the caveman times. And so it took him that
You don't
long
believe in
to-
caveman times.
Why don't you?
No, you don't.
You don't. Why don't you believe in it?
Because I'm an atheist.
So you don't believe in the cavemen because you're an atheist?
No, I don't believe in the Bible.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your
No,
fault.
What
Do you
I'm
believe in
saying
caveman
is,
times?
Jesus has
You
been
don't?
around since before the Bible. Like
He is
been
not.
since before written language.
Eden, do
So
you believe in the?
he's
Do you
not
believe in
constrained by
cavemen?
your understanding of the Bible.
Even do you
Whether
believe in
in it or
cavemen?
not, I'm
Eden-
explaining what soon means to Jesus.
Eden,
He's
do
been
you
around
believe in-
since human beings were
Eden, you
cavemen.
can listen. You can talk all you want, but no one cares. Do you believe in cavemen?
Yeah, if there was cavemen there, then Jesus saw them.
Okay, so
Wait,
how
look.
old? How
When Jesus
old
was
is human
addressing his
history?
buddies and he said, "Look, I'm going to come back before any of you guys die." Was he just
Sorry.
was he just like lying?
No,
Oh,
he just
so,
you're just not understanding what
But
he
they
meant.
did die.
so he was just wrong then. He wasn't lying. He was just wrong.
No, you're wrong. You're
No,
not
he's-
understanding.
I'll read it for you. Truly, I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And he describes the coming in his kingdom in Matthew 25.
Do
So
not
that
come.
means there are some standing there. So he's talking to people who still have not tasted death.
His disciples
Wait,
are
are
still
all of
alive?
his?
No,
At least
somebody
one.
said there are some standing
one?
here.
Which one's still alive?
I don't know, but neither do you.
It's actually Judas.
Doesn't
Judas is
mean
the one that
you're
lived.
lying.
He's got disciples still alive right
2,000
now?
years old.
Holy shit, we
Oh,
need to
have you guys
find
seen
them.
Highlander? Because
We
it's
have to
it's
study.
that.
Huh?
It's a Highlander thing.
Yeah, the truth
Yeah,
maker for this
there you
claim
go.
is the Highlander guy.
The Highlander.
Oh boy.
Can only be one. Actually, no. There
Yeah.
has to be more than one because he says some, not one.
There you go. So you already
It's gotta be more than
understand it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's at least two. There's at least two of his
Or it would
disciples
be
who are
his
still
angel.
around.
Yeah,
Like,
so we're in agreement that there's
anyone.
people who walk the earth who are currently 2,000 years old, and that's these people are like the thin line between, you know, the Bible being a complete fucking absurdity and it being true.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty cool if it were
It's
true.
pretty cool insofar as it would make like a cool movie.
It's probably a movie out there based on that.
Maybe one that we've said the name of like 3 or 4 times.
So there you go.
Yep. Well, you know, you hear that, everyone watching, you know, you can evaluate this debate in a very simple way. If you think that there's someone currently alive walking this earth, at least 2 people currently alive walking this earth that are 2,000 years old, then you can believe in Christianity. And if you don't, then Christianity is false. Literally stop and ask yourself, do I
You
think
haven't
there's
said
somebody that
anything about
exists that's
Christianity is
2,000
false.
years old? And if you don't think somebody's currently alive that's 2,000 years old wandering the earth currently right this second, then Christianity is false. That's kind of the point we've arrived at in the debate.
It seems to be the case.
You didn't say anything. Your idea that Christianity was false is that when Jesus said soon, it wasn't soon enough for you.
No,
Well, and he
the
said his
word
friends
soon
would
has
still
a
be
definitive
alive.
meaning. Right.
Yeah. So for Jesus, he is coming back soon, and for him, he meant that literally Israel has to come back. So all the things that you're seeing in Israel.
So soon doesn't mean
Jesus- are
soon.
the
Soon
prepara-
means
like, we
Israel
already
has
talked
to
about
come back.
The third temple, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
has
The
to
lies you have
happen.
to
It
tell
takes
yourself
time.
to believe this is wild.
It's not
So-
lies. It's just
Idon, I
literally
just have a
already
real
happened.
quick question. Do you maybe this is a stupid question. Do you currently support what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank?
That is a stupid question. What do you mean? How do I support it?
Well, I mean, like, look, it sounds like you're the kind of person who like wants Israel to be like the entire western part of the Middle East, so that you can have your Christian whatever fulfilled, and that just kind of screams like you love Bibi.
I mean, whatever happens in Israel is going to happen because it's basically prophecy. So when Israel came back in 1948,
okay, that checks out.
People didn't even like it then, and they were like, "Oh, there shouldn't." People didn't even like that there would be a state at any point, like that it was even that size. So it's just like you can't say, "Oh, history is going to happen here. Or this is going to happen." Like you can't control what happens. How big?
We kicked all these people out of their homes. We ethnically cleansed them out of the region, and they were just so upset with us. I can't fathom why these people that we ethnically cleansed were so upset with us.
What do you mean?
Bro's never heard of the Nakba. What do you think happened in 1948?
Yeah, I've heard of the Nakba.
Yeah, maybe that's why people were like upset.
Yeah, I know. Okay, people have been mad at Jews in a different state throughout all of history. So you can literally read about it. It happened even just before.
That's true, but it's not necessarily related to the
now they
current
have
problem
the
in
Nakba,
Israel.
So there's always a justification you can make up. And I'm sure you could say, oh, they did this and, in 48. And, there was a war. People attacked Israel in 48 and 67. And then even this one, like, they attacked on October 7th. So there's always like some reason you say, oh, they did it for this.
Well, Idon, look, there's a whole conversation to be had here. My question is just, do you support what's happening in the West Bank and Gaza? Because it sounds like you do.
Well, I mean, I don't support. It's like saying, do I support October 7th? Like, I'm sad about it. No. It happened, but everything.
No, it's not like that. It's not like asking that.
It is. Like, I don't support anything that happened in Israel, but that's just the history of what's happened.
Okay, let me rephrase. Do you think it is necessary or desirable that it happens in order for the prophecies to be fulfilled?
Like, I mean, okay, when I saw October 7th, I was like, dude, this is sad. And I knew a war was going to happen and that all of this like destruction is going to happen because it even says it in the Bible. So it's like, I'm sad it's happening, but it's still going to happen.
Do you want Jesus to return?
Of course.
Okay, is what is currently happening in Gaza and the West Bank required for Jesus to return?
That's why we made the whole point. All of human history, even the destruction
so you want Jesus to return. There are necessary preconditions in your view for Jesus to return, and therefore you want those necessary preconditions to be satisfied.
Yeah.
Okay, we agree. You want what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank to continue.
Is that what you want? I mean, like,
very much no. But it sounds like you
personally, I think it's bad when babies starve to death. That's just my opinion.
I think
maybe you
generally
disagree.
Violence is bad. Like, I'm generally pretty against violence. I don't think that violence is justified as a way to achieve
you understand that
whole
area has been violent for a very long time. So it's like that. Like, yeah, you probably just have even learned about where, like, Palestine was like 2 years ago. But
Idon, can I just get like a number? How many like children starved to death do you think it would take before you would say it's like unjustified? Like, could I just get like a number? You said, for me it's like one. That's enough children starved to death for me. But for you, it seems like it's substantially more than that.
Have you not been paying? Okay,
so I guess like, well, I'm so sorry. Right, I'm just looking like I just want an answer in the form of a number, please.
No, you want. Okay, one.
What? Oh, then you think it's unjust?
Yeah, nothing about this is good. Like, have you not? You've only been paying attention for a short
amount
of time.
Then why did God predestine it?
It's in the Bible. Like, you can literally read about this.
God predestined something bad to happen?
Yeah.
So is God good or bad?
He's good, but bad
why
things
does he do
have
bad
to
things?
happen.
No, why does he do bad things?
This is an example of bad things that have to happen. There's
it has to happen.
Okay, do you understand?
God powerless? Is God powerless to defeat the evil forces on his own?
Okay, why do you think
could God just click his fingers and deal with the evil forces?
Even if God is on Israel's side, on October 7th.
Try this again. Idon, I know you don't like answering questions, but I'm going to make you answer my question. Could God deal with the evil forces without all the bloodshed?
No.
He's
No,
not all
that's why we have
powerful?
it. No. What do you mean he's not all powerful? Like, he doesn't just snap his fingers to defeat his enemies.
To be clear, what does all powerful mean?
Like, he can create. He's a creator. It doesn't mean he's just gonna go.
So
and, like,
so I'm not asking what you think he'll do. I'm asking what is he capable of doing? Is he capable of getting rid of
he's
all the
capable of doing
evil
anything he wants.
dark forces
But
without
he
all the
does it-
bloodshed?
He does it in a. He has to be strategic.
He has to be strategic for what? Is he trying to hide his plan?
No, his plan is in the Bible, but people are trying to stop his plan.
What's he need strategy for? Why did he just do it?
Okay, in 1948, when Israel started, the Arab nations around attacked Israel,
So
and
what?
that's something that nobody seems to care about. But there was literally like hundreds of nations, not hundreds, but like
So
nations.
what though?
with
We're talking about God's
So if he starts-
capabilities.
okay, so when I said, God's just going to start Israel and send.
Idon, focus
Well,
up.
what
We're talking
happens when
about
nations attack.
Idon. Hey, focus. Put your listening ears on.
Yeah.
We're talking about God's capabilities. We're asking, what is he capable of doing? That's the question on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Is he capable of accomplishing his goal without the bloodshed?
I think he needs the blood.
He needs it? Why do
Wait,
he
so
need the blood?
is the god that you believe in just like a blood god? Like, or
No.
like
Oh, okay. Oh,
He
you know,
needs
you
the
don't
fine
understand?
tuning so he can have the
there's an
sweet,
enemy.
sweet blood.
You don't understand that the enemy.
like a hail corn blood for the blood god? Like, is that what we're doing right
This is
now?
wild.
It's like in Baldur's Gate 3 when you have to like sacrifice to the one god. Fuck.
Ian, have you played BG3?
Yeah.
What?
No.
Hold on, we have to talk about this later, okay?
Okay.
So I mean, let me ask you one thing. It sounds like you're suggesting that, like, I don't know, and I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm misreading you. That, like, God is good even though he does bad stuff. Like, when he does bad stuff, it's good by nature because he had to do it, right?
Well, it's like saying, was America good for defeating Germany in World War II?
I was
They
just
did
looking
some bad
for
stuff.
a yes or no to that
Yeah, yeah.
question.
I think there's like a morally significant difference between Nazi blood and like children blood, in my personal opinion. You know, maybe you disagree.
Are you
Well,
saying
I mean,
that
there was children's
different
blood in
people's
Germany.
blood are worth different amounts, Ian?
I think that spilling some blood is morally justifiable, and
Oh,
spilling
so it's
other
the
blood
spilling?
isn't.
It's the spilling, it's not the actual blood? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, look. Okay, I would say personally, we probably come on different sides of if October 7th was justified.
Do not come.
Do not come.
Okay. Oh, we're on different sides of it. So I don't think that was justified. But a lot of people who you might talk to might think it's justified. And so that's
I don't know
maybe
about
a
you, but
way-
I just don't like violence generally.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't like
either, but I'm just
political
saying,
violence.
there's-
Not
these
so fond
people
of it.
went and they, you know, well, we say H group on TikTok, they went and they did it. So you can't, even though God might have not liked them to do it, and I think what you see now is his response that he doesn't like violence either.
So, like,
But
in
think
your
of the
view,
violence
this whole
they committed.
so in your view, the entire history of conflict in the Middle East is because God made it happen? Because if so, that's like a deranged and like diabolical God, right?
I don't-
Yeah, he's
no,
up there
no,
like playing
I
with
think-
like toy soldiers.
I think it was a terrorist group that started it. So it's terrorism that started it, but God has to deal with it. Even he doesn't even start it though.
Could God have brought about the end times through a plan that doesn't involve like child blood?
No, because
Or
look at
adult
what he's
blood?
dealing with.
Like, could God have
He
made
has
the
to-
end times
okay,
happen without like
in
blood?
in Genesis 6, he actually says, "I will destroy Hamas." So
Oh,
what you're
no.
seeing?
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's in Genesis
Hold on,
6.
what? Hold on, what?
It says the world. Okay, yeah, we know when he floods
Hold on,
the earth.
I'm pulling this up right now. I gotta see this.
Yeah.
All right,
God,
what's the
hey,
verse?
I'm just praying. I'm just reaching out. God, do you condemn Hamas?
Well, it's yeah. So he
Wait,
has
what's the
to
verse?
destroy-
Sorry, what's the verse? Genesis 6, what's the verse?
I assume he
or
means
maybe
6-6,
13 or
but
something. Yeah. So
Well, because the word
think of how
Hamas is not
difficult.
anywhere in
Okay.
13.
Think of how difficult Hamas is to destroy. They're like a very deep-rooted
Oh,
organization.
wait a minute. Hold on. No, I see it. This is 613. Now the word Hamas, which is, not Hamas, as, they're in different languages. Is that the claim? Because
Yeah. So
that's
it says
just a
he's
Hebrew
going to
word.
destroy Hamas.
Wait, you know that's
Okay.
just a Hebrew word, right?
Yes, it's a Hebrew word.
Okay.
And what do you
Yeah.
think it means?
It means violence.
Okay, so it's not a noun.
Well, it is a noun. It's just
Yeah.
a different noun.
Well,
Wait, but
yeah.
but God doesn't say that He's going to destroy violence. He's going to say that the earth is filled with violence.
And he will destroy it. So he has to.
No, He says He
has
will
to-
destroy them. The earth is filled with violence. So the verse specifically it says, "And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them being the flesh. And behold, I will destroy them," again the them being flesh, "with the earth."
Yeah.
It doesn't say
That's
that
right.
He will destroy violence. It doesn't say He will destroy Hamas,
Well, he will.
because that's not even a thing that
Tactic.
makes sense.
But
No,
we're
no, but
watching.
it doesn't say that, and you said it said that.
Okay. Well, we're literally watching it happen right now, and it's obviously a process.
Apparently not
Yeah,
very
he doesn't
successfully.
He doesn't just snap his fingers like Hamas is just going to go away. They're very difficult to eliminate because they embed themselves in populations.
Yeah, it's
to
just
cause
too much for this
massive
all-powerful
damage.
God. He couldn't possibly, teleport all of them into the sun.
Yeah, look, this is actually a really weird argument, because typically people say, like, oh, Israel has a hard time beating Hamas because blah, 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 they embed themselves, whatever. But, like, we're not talking about, like, a human military here. We're talking about an all-powerful God.
But
It
he's
shouldn't
not,
matter where they're hiding, right?
look, what do you want him to do? Like, I guess, like,
He's all
This is how
powerful.
this
Fucking
is-
teleport, snap his fingers, teleport them into the sun. There's like a million things he could do.
okay, well, I guess the way it's happening is just the way it happens. So
Sure.
you gotta have to see it,
Sure.
and then you can understand. So when we'll
Yeah,
see,
he's
like,
just not that level yet,
for-
right? He's like level 65, and he unlocks like this additional
Yeah.
stuff at like level 70. He just needs to
Yeah.
grind out a few more raids before he's going to be of the level to do that sort of thing.
and then you have to understand who he's really up against, because there's other situations. So if he just
You're up-
goes in and
if
does
you're
some
God, you're up
magical
against
thing-
nobody. Nobody compares
No,
to
he's
God.
up against. Dude. Who do you think powers those evil forces behind Hamas?
I mean, theoretically, it's Satan, but he
You don't-
created
you guys
Satan.
just
He
dismiss
can
that.
just. Can God just click his fingers and get rid of Satan?
No, you dismiss how evil Hamas is.
Can God just click his fingers and get rid of Satan and Hamas?
No.
No.
Oh, then he's not all powerful.
Gee, what a weak punk.
Yeah.
This-
so
this
then
is
we would
the
agree
wildest
that the
God I've
Bible
ever
is
heard
false
of.
because God's
This
not all
whole thing
powerful.
is- it's this process. It's like,
Well, the Bible says that God can do all
Hard
things,
blooded.
so apparently the Bible's wrong.
Yeah,
the
so we
Bible
would agree that the
actually
Bible
says
is
in
false,
prophecy,
correct?
it's going to take time, because it's not like he just clicks his fingers in the Bible. Everything takes time and steps.
We're not
Yeah, I'm sorry,
asking
let's
how,
just get
how
really
the steps
linear.
are.
Let's make sure we get really linear with this. You would agree then that the Bible is false when it says that God can do anything because there's a thing he can't do, right?
But he does it in his way. It doesn't because
Yes
he can
or
do anything.
no?
He does it in his way. Yes.
Yes
He can do anything.
or no.
no?
Yes, the Bible is true.
Oh, that's okay. Wait, so then that's the opposite. So then you do affirm that God can do anything.
Yes.
Sure. So then God does have the power to make Satan and Hamas disappear.
Not, but now he does it in a prophetic
Yes or
way.
no?
He could, but he doesn't.
Okay, cool. Wait, so then when you said that he doesn't have that power, you were wrong.
I might have explained it to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Okay, as long as we acknowledge that that's like gibberish.
So God does have the power, but he chooses not to.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he
he
chooses
prefers
to
this
fulfill
way.
prophecy
He
over
prefers
thousands
the
of
blood.
years.
He prefers the bloodshed. Then
Well, I think it's become necessary with who he's dealing with.
it's not necessary. It's just his preference.
How do you expect him to feed Hamas without any bloodshed? With these guys are violent.
Again,
guys are violent.
he could just catapult them right into the sun.
Yeah.
That's still, they would burn. Like, that's not a good trip.
Well, no, if you got teleported into the sun, you wouldn't feel pain. You would just get incinerated instantly.
Yeah, and God's favorite people, according to you, wouldn't have to suffer in bloodshed.
Then they would come and they would pretend it's a new religion, and they split the moon, and they would start a whole new Islam.
No, they're in the sun.
And they would be having this conversation again for another couple thousands of years. No,
they're in
God's
the sun.
coming back. He's going to build the third temple, and then you can go ahead and explain
Okay.
that one too. And then we can,
just assert all your failed conclusions since you couldn't support any of them. That would really show that you're right.
Yeah,
listen, Idon, you've demonstrated that the Bible is completely untrustworthy and that you have no idea how logic works. And we've had you up for a while, and I personally have enjoyed the last 46 minutes. However, we do have other people waiting to get in.
I don't know. All right, you guys be well.
All right,
No,
cheers. Oh boy, that was something. Well, let's read some super chats. We got a couple super chats here, and then we'll get our next guest in the box. Smee says, "Alien poo on Mars. All religions destroyed." Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, thank you for the super chat, but I think the people are still trying to figure out if the remnants of past biological life on Mars is as what it seems. I don't know if we have a firm conclusion on that yet, but I mean, I feel like it's plausible. I don't see why we wouldn't, like if it was true, why we wouldn't accept it. Shady, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says God created the universe because the universe was created by God. Obviously. Clever circular argument from the caller to make me almost forget about the technically we are ants apologetic. We've had some titans up here today already. Forum Galorum, thank you for the super chat. Big W says, Justin, the Achilles heel of Christianity is Jesus' veiled prophecy about returning in his followers' lifetime. Why didn't the Bible copyists edit this out of the text to save face? Well, because they did the same thing Christians did. They'll say, well, it was actually about the transfiguration. But I think the reason why Matthew 24, that one, wasn't edited out was because at the time that the biblical texts were being formed, people still thought it was just around the corner. Like, there are still some people that are alive, right? The story isn't untrue yet. It's not until you get a little bit down the road, like 150 years later, that people are like, I don't know, does generation really mean generation? Maybe it means something else, right? Maybe it's a metaphor. And so that plus, got to remember, most people in their church weren't reading this. In fact, most of the church fathers weren't even reading all of this stuff. Telex says, so the water into wine could be water flavoring powder added with some sort of illicit substance to create wine feelings. Go. Yes, indeed. That's actually a good scammer tip.
I bet you could just well, no, I guess alcohol evaporates. So you probably can't dry out wine and then reconstitute by adding water, right?
No, I don't think so.
It'd probably just be like gross grape juice.
There might be a way. It wouldn't taste very good, but it might be a way to do instant wine. Rory, thank you for the super chat, says, wow, that's some deep delusional cognitive dissonance. We are surrounded by mentally ill individuals that were most likely raised by mentally ill. I don't know if this gentleman was mentally ill, but there were a couple moments in the conversation where I felt like maybe he wasn't up to speed. Could be right, could be wrong, don't really know, but I mean, observation stands. Judas says, when Jesus comes, does he scream his own name? That's a very good question, and it's a fair question. I could only assume he would say, oh me, oh God, oh me, oh God, if he's a Trinity. I've got concerns. Good question, though. It's like when he prays, like, hey, God, it's me, you. Gretchen, thank you for the question. And the super
hey, me, it's you. That's so funny.
Why does Jesus
How am I doing?
Holes?
You're doing great.
I'm so proud of you. I mean me. Why does Jesus have holes in his hands? Answer, cross ventilation.
Oh, that's a good one.
Actually, I have a soundboard for this. There we go. All right. Hey, thank you for that joke. I appreciate that, Gretchen. Edward says, Justin, how familiar are you with ROS 1 and ROS 2? And I can't say that I am. so unfamiliar. I don't even know what that refers to. Hold on. Let me see. Let me Google that one. ROS2 was designed real-time performance in mind, making it significantly compatible with real-time operating systems. It seems like it's a software base. Interesting. So, obviously, I don't know anything about it. Unfortunately, I can't help you out with ROS, but best of luck to you. Best of luck to you. Judas, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, says, when is now? Soon. The Bible is filled with Spaceball references. Indeed, it is. I do love the words don't mean words arguments. They're at least they're predictable. MILF Wrangler says, I guess you could call this the unholy trinity? Perhaps. Perhaps. I would take that. Thank you for the super chat. And Eris, good to see you this morning. Thank you for the super chat. It says, so is Bigfoot then one of the disciples supposed to be alive that long? That's a good question. That's the thing always asked about Bigfoot is there's so many sightings of Bigfoot. He must be living for hundreds of years because how are people long ago citing Bigfoot? Or there's more than one because he shows up in many countries. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked on this. Good thinking. And Amir, my friend, thank you for the $20 super chat. Big W says, regarding callers like Idon or Idon with ridiculous claims and poor arguments, do you think they replay their conversation? And if so, do you think at least 10% of them walk away with new questions about their silly beliefs? TY67, of course. Thank you, 67. So I don't. I think people that think like Idon, I don't think that they review their life ever. I think they're coming away from this conversation thinking that we're crazy dumb atheists and he just got on a panel and cooked all of us. And I don't believe that he's going back to reflect on this. Some people do. I don't think Idon's going to. Rory says, Zionists have always been the initial violent aggressors in the Semitic world, and the Christians among the Zionists have been the biggest cheerleaders. There's a lot we can say on this. I try not to dive into politics if I can help it, but I mean, I don't think there's a good guy in this whole scenario, as that's the problem. I don't think anyone's right. Shady, thank you for the super chat, says, rarely do we see make it up as I go argument actually work, and the caller confirms this is another amazing and unique way. W caller. To be fair, the make it up as you go argument is somewhat common once you start getting to biblical interpretation. Misinterpretations, great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. It says, Blitz quote win. Thoughts are circular, not box-like. That is true.
True.
Thank you for that. And Swamper, thank you for the $4.99, says his way is conveniently the same as what we expect when there is no God. And isn't it interesting that the evidence that we have for God is identical to a picture painted as if there was no God? It's weird that it could be interpreted as either. PJ says, had a pastor say a fox ran in front of his car once, causing him to hit his brakes. It was at that moment he knew God was real. Huh. Fox, therefore God. Interesting. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. And last one from our friend Carnage Asada. Great to see you, friend. Says, thanks you guys for inspiring my new all clerics run in BG3. Might even take tomorrow off work. Well, I appreciate the super chat. Do you guys know what BG3 is?
Baldur's Gate 3?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Me. Guys, I'm so old. I don't know any of these references. I'm old, like the old fuddy-duddy here, and I apologize for that. But thank you, Carnage Asada, for the super chat. Big appreciation. We've got some people that have been waiting to get in, and we're going to get the next one in. I don't know who's been waiting the longest, but let's grab Mason. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join the discussion as well. There's a link on the screen. It's tiny.cc/UA guest. It's also a clickable link in the description of the video. You do not have to download TikTok in order to join into the conversation, although we're more than happy for you to do so. Mason, welcome in.
Hey, thank you.
Mason, are you at least 18, and do you believe in some concept of a God?
I am 19, and I believe in some concept of a god, just not one that any of the mainstream religions portray.
Cool.
So basically, there's like the argument that if there's a cup in front of you, something had to put it there, and then the thing that put the cup in front of you had a cause, and therefore everything else has a cause all the way back.
Oh,
so
that's a
that could mean
blunder.
that
You don't want to say
how so?
everything has a cause because then that would imply that God has a cause, and I'm assuming you don't want to say that.
Well, yeah. So I'm not really trying to say that. I'm trying to say that like once you go all the way back, either the universe started on its own out of nowhere, or it's infinite, or you could say that like God started on his own, or he's infinite. Both are pretty
Or
crazy
it's
to comprehend.
or it's
but-
cyclic. You could also always appeal to cyclicity, but
Well, then doesn't there have to be a start of the cycle?
no, that's what a cycle is.
But if like water is flowing in a circle, it's a cycle. But how did the water get
Yep.
there to begin with?
Well, if we're talking about time being a cycle, then time wouldn't have an origin, nor would it be infinite, right?
Well, time is just another dimension. So like you could say
Yeah.
that like an object inside of like space time has time inside of it, and then like water spinning in a circle, there has to be a point in time of which the water came in there.
No, not necessarily. I mean, look,
Why
like
not?
if time is a circle, like the memes say, then
Yeah.
what would it mean for it to have an origin? An origin
That's a
would
good
imply
question.
that the cycle was broken at some point. The point is if it's a cycle, then there is no origin.
No, that's a very good point. I'm not gonna lie. But it's kind of like saying like there could just be like no start because it's like they keep going north to the North Pole. North doesn't mean anything.
It's not quite the same thing, but you could also say that time is like the North Pole, and that yes, there is no in that north of the North Pole doesn't mean anything. That's another way of kind of explaining away this whole question of where the universe came from and stuff like that.
So do you believe that it is truly cyclical, or do you have?
I think that's an option that's an option that's on the table that hasn't been ruled out.
So what, like, I'm just based off your beliefs personally, like no theories.
I don't have any strong beliefs about it. I'm agnostic about the origins of the universe.
I'm also agnostic, but like, you don't have like a general intuition towards one way or another.
No.
Then why do you make it so? Like, why do you host these sort of things where you're trying to disprove God?
Because the questions are unrelated.
So the reason why we disbelieve in God is not because like, well, this model of the universe is like definitely for sure true. We would appeal to like other sorts of arguments. Maybe I could give you a reason to think that God isn't the cause. You would agree that God's outside of time, right?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, but for the sake of the
Sure.
argument,
Well,
we'll
would
say
you
yeah.
agree that time's a part of the universe?
I'm a little skeptical about that too. I know it's supposedly the fourth dimension, but like, sure, yeah, let's say that. Yeah, say yes.
Sure. Well, that means that if God created the universe, then he must be outside of time.
That's true, unless he got like that. That's very true. So that's why I kind of am curious about if time is like the fourth dimension, though, because something could stay still like within the space, but then it can't stay still within time itself.
Well, wait, okay, let's just make sure we're staying linear here. Okay, so you agree that God is timeless. So would you agree that that means that God doesn't stand in like temporal relation to anything? Like he's not
Maybe from
before
our
anything at the
perspective,
same
like, from
time
our
as anything.
understanding.
He's not like in the future of anything.
Maybe
Right.
from our understanding of time, yeah.
But
if there is an entity
you do think that
experiencing
it's like
something-
possible that God is outside of time but does stand in temporal relations?
Yeah, but just like a temporal relation of which we do not understand because we do not have access to it.
Well, that would just place God on the timeline. That's what it means to have a temporal relation, is that you
But
take
couldn't there
some
be
position on the
separate
timeline.
timelines from it? So like there's a timeline that is like has a dilation on it, for instance, that passes faster, or it just has a different causation which has events fall out in a particular way. Or there
So
could
you're
be a
saying
parallel
God exists
timeline.
in God time?
Essentially, like he could have a separate
Yeah, where did
timeline,
God
yeah.
time come from?
What if it doesn't have an origin just like the universe? Is like what I'm saying. Because like I'm agnostic. Like I only joined this because I feel like all these other people have been making terrible arguments like I am right now. So I just wanted to make a
So-
little more sincere one.
Yeah, so at that point, then the reason why this is like very implausible is because you're instead of positing like an infinite universe, you're positing a finite universe created by a god who exists infinitely in an infinite universe.
Yeah, no, I
Like he
100%
exists
agree
in
with
like
you. It's
infinite
just
god time to avoid positing like just like infinite regular time. So you're just committing yourself to like two like additional things that provide no explanatory power. What was he doing infinitely in God time?
I mean, then the question could also say, like, what has the universe been doing infinitely in the infinite time of this time of
It's
which
been
we are in?
changing.
Well, how do we know that further back than like the Big Bang?
If the universe, under like all the models that are currently on the table, my understanding is that the universe was always changing throughout all of them, even the ones that state that it has like a finite past.
Okay, well, like, I'll give you that. Of course, like, you know, change is like the only thing that is certain. But like, does that mean that God can't always be changing in this theoretical timeline?
He could. It's just like strange. It's like an additional commitment that doesn't really get you anything.
Well, what commitment is he making by changing and making this world?
No, you're making a commitment by saying that by
Oh, my
positing
fault.
additional things that exist. Like you're saying that there is a universe that has always existed. It's just God's universe, and God exists
Well,
in it.
theoretically, he could just always been existing in this universe as well, and it's just that this universe never
Then God
happened.
couldn't have created this universe.
Yeah.
Right.
He would have to
Well,
create
I'm
himself
not
if he
off.
exists in the universe.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that like maybe he even created the world. Like, you know, there's a different
Then what do you mean
concept
by
between what a
God?
god is. I feel like that there is a hierarchy, or not a hierarchy. There's an overseeing power which can have some impact on life if he chooses to have said impact. However, it's mainly just like, let's say, like an overseer of consciousness.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, like he is capable of modifying. I'm kind of making this up as I go, like the last guy, but he is capable of understanding like how beings gain like their sentience and their awareness of oneself rather than the awareness of their environment, and maybe you could contribute that back to a soul, and then once something develops a soul, then he is able to bring it to a separate plane that we could call an afterlife.
What does this explain that we otherwise couldn't?
It basically explains how this afterlife, which I am proposing, is still in the same universe. You know, it might even be separate from, or not separate from our own, but like, you know, outside of like the observable universe, and to where maybe even like fundamental principles change slightly. And because of that, like that would, it wouldn't really explain anything. I think that the main reason that why
Oh, well, if
inherent
it doesn't explain
intuition
anything, then
towards
there's no reason to believe it. So,
it's
so
just
the reason why
well,
you
yeah.
add things
So
to your worldview is because they explain things. If adding something to your
that's not
worldview doesn't
entirely
explain
true.
anything, then there's no reason to add it.
That's not entirely true. Like
Can you give
people
me an
add
example
things to
of a
their
thing that you believe in that doesn't add anything, or a thing maybe that I believe in that doesn't add anything to my worldview, or that doesn't like help explain anything?
like I think it's just mainly like I can't give you a specific example, but I can say that it's something that like you believe out of comfort despite evidence that, you know, may present otherwise.
I try not to believe those things. I try to root those things out of my worldview. It's epistemically irresponsible. There's no reason to believe something just to cope. You should cope by being realistic about things.
But it's not even like coping. It's like it's an intentional delusion in order for you to live the best possible life that you could. And by best possible life, I mean just more like, you know, like content and, you know, you could say coped, but just like not worrying about things that are outside of it, or not being in dread of what is to come, because you
That
can
sounds
believe in
like
a
cope.
delusion.
I have no idea
Yeah,
how
I
that
mean, yeah,
wouldn't be an
sure.
instance of cope.
Yeah, but like, why is it bad when that coping mechanism would be a way that would bring you to that copeness faster than one who just uses it based off of the knowledge that is presented to him?
Sure. The reason why this makes your life worse is because in order to live a good life, like a life of your own, it needs to be a life of your own, which means that it needs to be one that's self-directed, an autonomous life where you rely on your own understanding of reality. But in order to rely on your own understanding of reality, you need to have like a reliable self at the helm. You need to be seeking out the truth. The only way to live a good life is by being truth-oriented. If you stop being truth-oriented, then you're failing at being an autonomous agent because you're failing to accurately understand the world around you, which is going to lead to you failing to make good decisions that are based on evidence and facts. So by hiding in delusions, you deprive yourself of living a good life. That's why it's bad.
I mean, I would say that like it doesn't destroy your autonomy because we all are under a delusion right now that we probably don't know of. Like, it could just be that like what you were talking about before, that like the four fundamental forces never actually split. And we're just wrong about that. We're all under a delusion right now, anyways. And since we are all under the impression of information that we believe to be true, which isn't, does that mean that we are all lost of our autonomy?
No, because we believe these things based on evidence. So we could be wrong about something, doesn't mean that we're not truth oriented. What it takes to be truth oriented is just that you seek to understand reality the way that it actually is, as opposed to trying to understand it in ways that are comforting to you. Because that's the only way that you're actually going to be able to engage critically with reality and live the type of life that you want to live, is by not coping, but instead actually building a life that you really want, that really exists, as opposed to lying to yourself for your entire life.
But I don't see how it's different from like, for instance, we don't know for a fact that like those four fundamental forces split from one, and like we can't like know for a fact.
That's why you won't hear people say that it's definitely true. You'll have people speculate about it, but
okay, but like we can revolve it down to like string theory. Then there are some scientists out there who say that it's definitely true. They just don't have a way to prove it, and like
those people who think that string theory is true think it's true not because of like some faith or because of cope. They think it's true because they think that there's good reason, there's justification for that belief, right?
And like, wouldn't you say that like everything has like a fundamental, like everything has to come from something, and like there could be something that just always was around, which is the universe, or there could be something that like created everything within it, or was created with the universe, like God. So there's both ways, or like probably, in my book, I'm kind of confusing like probability and possibility, but it's kind of like a 50-50 shot. And because of that, it's more comforting to believe what we have been discussing. So why is it bad to believe something that brings you comfort, regardless on if it's not completely true? Just like how people believe in string theory, even if it's not completely true.
Yeah, wait, is it possible that you're hallucinating right now?
Oh, 100%.
Sure, so if it's possible, then that means there's just like a 50-50 shot that you're hallucinating or not hallucinating.
Well, yeah, that's why I said it. I'm kind of like mixing up like probability and possibility, but it's different because well, it's different in this circumstance because there's more reason to believe that I'm like not hallucinating, and there's like less to lose. It's almost like a Pascal's wager, but not in the whole way. Because even if I am hallucinating, like what is the point? Like what does it matter if I am? This is where my existence, my consciousness, and my being is. So why does that matter?
So the point is that you shouldn't be evaluating this one thing is possible, this other thing is possible. Therefore, it's like a 50-50 shot. That's ridiculous. It's possible that the reason you lost your shoes is because you misplaced them. It's possible the reason you lost your shoes is because the shoe-stealing fairy stole your shoes away. But then to conclude that it's a 50-50 shot is ludicrous.
Well, I know. I completely understand, which is why I said like a couple times I'm confusing the two. But from my standpoint, like, why do you believe it's more likely that God does not exist compared to why he does?
Yeah, I mean, you can like look to like the contortions that you had to do to avoid like the argument. Like the only God that you can find defensible is one that existed in infinite God time, infinitely, and then created a finite universe.
No,
and
that's
he was
not even like
always
what I was saying,
infinitely doing things forever. So what we would appeal to at that point is just Occam's razor, considerations of parsimony, that all else equal, we should prefer the simpler explanation. If both of these things explain the data, then we should just believe the one that's fewer commitments, i.e. that God doesn't exist.
But that was like one of my like thought processes. But another one is just that this universe has also always been existing, and God has always been existing within it, and that He is the one that is like governing the sentient conscious mind, and that could bring me comfort because then I could think that like once my lights go off my brain, they can turn on somewhere else.
So then God wouldn't exist because the universe wasn't created, therefore He didn't create it.
Well, then we don't exist because the universe wasn't created. I'm not saying that He's a creator. That's like what I'm trying to say is that that doesn't necessarily mean He is the creator of which we are in.
Oh, well, when we say God doesn't exist, we're saying like a mind that created the universe doesn't exist.
Okay, so you're just, by God, your definition of God inherently is a creator.
Yeah, that's like kind of like the standard definition of what a God is, yeah.
You know, kind of in Western philosophy and stuff like that, sure, but, you know, I guess that was just a mix of, that was a differing of definitions, which I guess I should have stated my term more clearly at the start.
Yeah, for any other God, I would disbelieve this just on grounds of like Occam's razor, that it doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. It doesn't explain anything, but it's just comfort. So while having that comfort, you know, might not be like 100% intrinsic to the objective universe of which we are in, it does bring comfort to where, in order to pursue more knowledge, it might make it easier to do so. Because nothing's hindering you back on it, on like fear of death. So yeah.
And listen, I don't mean to be like super rude, but like if your life is just like in fucking shambles that you need like something, anything to hold on, then I say go for it. You know, you got to cope somehow. But for the rest of us who are like functioning adults, I'm okay. I don't need like an imaginary friend to get through my days. You know, that doesn't bring me comfort.
No, it's not like
the search for truth brings me comfort.
Yeah, it's not like I'm saying that like I need him to like be sure that he's looking after me or anything like that. I'm just saying that like I prefer existence over non-existence, and by me like sitting down on a couch and breathing, that could be me wasting a second of my life, which I could go be exploring truth. And because of that, and instead of me being frantic about every single moment in my life trying to find that purpose, it makes me more comfortable to feel, maybe even delude myself into thinking that I can just exist and be content within my existence, and I don't have to completely and utterly worry about the end of it, because even if I don't find my truth in this lifetime, I can still, you know, have a second chance at experience.
Yeah, I think it would be very comforting for me to believe that no kid ever died of cancer. Unfortunately, that doesn't make it true.
Yeah, but that's kind of a straw man.
I really don't think it is. If your argument is that you can believe something because it makes you feel good, well, there's lots of things that would make you feel good to believe.
Well, believe something that makes you feel good that does not have an inherent contradiction to it and evidence that points otherwise.
The evidence that points against God is just that it doesn't explain anything. It's a parsimony consideration, that the fact that you're adding this to your worldview and it literally provides nothing to the worldview, it doesn't help you explain any data of experience, of logic, of like the empirical reality that we see around us. Like, it doesn't do anything.
So for something to be true, it has to explain like something else other than itself?
In order for it to be rational to believe in a thing, then it needs to explain something about reality, about data, about like anything, right? So, you know, things fall. Gravity explains why things fall. So we add gravity to our worldview because it
You think gravity's real?
You mean air pressure?
You mean electromagnetism?
So what explains like why gravity acts in a certain way that it does, other than like the mass bending space-time?
Well,
that's the answer. Right?
Yeah, there it is. You got it.
Okay, so why does mass bend space-time?
Why do like charges repel each other? That's just
exactly
a feature of the way the universe works.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't it's a feature of the way the universe works. So that doesn't explain anything else other than like causing these effects. So even though
The
like
the
we
effects
can't
are what it
explain why the universe,
explains.
yeah, but okay, but like what
There's like
makes,
literally like trillions of instances of gravity, like
you
every
know, I'm not
single
saying
day.
I'm not saying that it doesn't explain the effects, but it doesn't explain like why it is inherent within the universe.
It's a
So
matter of
since
ongoing
nothing,
debate in physics.
I mean, look, there's a problem, namely that you will never be satisfied with any answer that's ever given for an explanation, because you'll be just like, well, why is it that way?
well, I mean, I disagree with you just because I'm giving it like an unjust standpoint of my true beliefs, just to try to make a better point for God. But like, but isn't that the same thing with like your guys' rhetoric on God, that you're saying, well, why isn't it this way? Stuff like that. You guys are also doing the same thing, are you
Well,
not?
the trouble is we have
No.
evidence for gravity's existence. The question of the
Yeah, and I'm not
cause
saying that
of
it doesn't
gravity.
exist, but I'm saying, yeah, but why is gravity at the specific magnitude of which it is, like on Earth? Why is why does it come down to like 9.8 meters per second? And that's based off of our mass. What about its mass gives it the property of
Yeah,
which?
so what you're asking is why is it the way it is? But that's a
Yeah.
separate question as to whether or not it exists at all.
Yeah.
On
Also,
the
you
other
can
hand,
run.
if you're saying that God exists because that's just how the universe is,
I'm
well,
not saying that either.
we need
But
some
I
degree
get
of
what you're saying.
justification for believing it exists to begin with.
Yeah, you also run into literally an identical problem as to why God would want gravity this specific way.
Well, also, like I said, I'm not defining like a creator as God, but like what I was trying to go back to is that since
Well, then your
we
view doesn't
don't
explain
have,
it. This is
well, no, what I
if
was trying
God
to
didn't
trying to
set
do is
gravity
use an
this way, then it's
analogy here.
unexplained on your view too.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I'm trying to like run an analogy back to how just because something doesn't explain anything doesn't mean it's not, like we shouldn't believe that it's true. Like just because we
Gravity
say that
does explain things.
no, but I'm trying to go back a step further from what gravity explains to what explains gravity, and then how
But
does
that doesn't answer the question. I mean, gravity explains things. Now, if you're asking what's the explanation for the explanation, well, maybe we don't have an answer
yeah.
to that. But that doesn't mean that
So
gravity doesn't explain things.
Yeah, gravity still explains
no,
things.
yeah, no. So I know like what you said with that we don't have an answer to that. Then since we don't have an answer to that, we might as well just believe that it's not there because there's no
What?
evidence that makes because
No,
there's
you
no
should remain
evidence.
agnostic about it. You should remain
Yeah.
agnostic
Yeah.
about the whatever the explanation is, or that it even has an explanation for that matter.
Why?
Why? Because unless you have justification for some belief, you shouldn't hold a belief.
Yeah.
So are you guys more agnostic about God then? Because that's what
No, I have
my
justification to hold the
parallel
belief
was.
that God doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm atheistic towards the God that is
Which
a
is
mind
what?
that
Like,
created
what
the
is your
universe.
justice? Like, I started this argument trying to come up with a claim because I had the burden of proof. But like, what is your belief of why God does not exist?
Yeah, so I mean, at least for me, and we're talking about a God that's a disembodied mind that created the universe, right? So for me, I think that we have
Sure.
pretty strong justification that to hold the position that there are no such things as disembodied minds. For example, every mind that we've ever encountered is embodied. We also have strong intuitions about why we should protect our brain rather than protecting, say, our left foot. We have strong instincts and intuitions for that, which suggests that our mind is deeply, deeply tied to our brain. And considering that the being that's being proposed here does not have a brain and is in fact disembodied, we have good evidence, good reason to believe that there are no such things, and hence such a being wouldn't exist. Furthermore, there are questions about what it means for a being to create a universe, if that universe includes change. Namely, how does a thing change if it doesn't exist in time? How does a thing take actions if it doesn't exist in time, etc.? The point is that, you know, there's a whole slew of arguments. Now, they might not be relevant arguments against the God that you're proposing. Maybe the God that you're proposing is not really a God by the same definition, but that's not what the conversation's about, right?
Well, like, why do I'm just curious here. Like, why does God have to be like disembodied? Like,
Well, if
there
it's
be
embodied,
something
then I
else?
just would call it an alien.
Yeah.
But, okay, but you're also saying that this God is separate from our space-time. So couldn't there be something else that is separate from our space-time that still has a space-time of its own? Like almost a different
Yeah, I would call it
universe,
an alien.
From a different universe? You'd still call
Sure.
it an alien? So, but if he theoretically was the creator of this universe, he would still be an alien?
Yeah.
If he has
So,
like a
like,
physical body, then yeah.
So, like,
obviously.
suppose that there's a guy
for your
named
definition
Gary
of God,
who,
he
like,
has to be.
suppose that there's like a guy named Gary who lives in like the the meta universe or whatever, and he lives in his garage with his mom, and he's a talented programmer, and he wrote a computer program that is simulating our universe right now, and that's what our universe is. He's still a guy named Gary living in a garage. He was born, he will die. He obeys laws of physics. He's an alien. He's an alien that happened to create our universe, but I don't know why he would be a god all of a sudden.
Well, because basically, from my understanding of your guys' definition of God, he has to be the creator. So I didn't understand.
Well, he has to be.
You had to be disembodied.
So generally, the definition that I would give is something like the mind that is responsible for creating all physical reality. Now, so given that definition is not compatible with like just some dude named Gary who's simulating our universe, right? Because it has its own physical reality that's not
exactly.
created.
It has its own one.
Right. And the only reason I say that is because, like, if your God is a thing that could die, if your God is a thing that was born, that obeys laws of physics, it just doesn't sound like a God to me.
But can that just be your own, like, societal...
well, yeah, but then you and I are just talking about different things. Like, I'm not an atheist towards, like, aliens. I'm not an atheist towards any type of being that obeys laws of physics.
Okay, yeah. In all of my separate theories of what a god would be, he would have to like oblige by laws of physics because, like, even no matter how powerful God is, he can't make a circle a square. So
that's not a law of physics. That's perhaps a mathematical law.
Okay, sure. I mean, I guess just that I'm thinking that physics, require mathematics to have them. So
right. But we would say we would say that it's like a violation of the laws of physics for like too heavy or for like charges to attract each other, right? Because
sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Coulomb's law says that like charges repel, but it's not like mathematically false that that's the case. Whereas it is mathematically false that a square is a circle.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I feel like you could make it more abstract because, like, you could say, like, like two negatives don't make a positive, and then you're just moving that back to the like charge sort of thing.
Wait, but two negatives do make a positive.
Oh, sorry, they do make a positive. My fault. Like,
but yeah, so why couldn't two negatives making a positive mean that they attract each other?
I mean, that's a damn good point. It could just be that it's like you have to draw a parallel with like electrons and all those other things that have that negative charge. And like
I guess what I'm getting at is that like there are clearly mathematical truths that are not necessarily So, okay, what should I say?
Don't pertain to physics. So no, I completely understand.
Everything that's mathematically true, everything that's physically true has to be mathematically true, but not everything that's mathematically true has to be physically true.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And so, because like there are no squares in the universe, there are no circles in the universe, right? But there are mathematical truths about squares and circles, that it doesn't matter what the laws of physics would have been. The laws of physics could have been different, maybe, and squares would still not be circles. Although, okay, that's not quite true. There is a sense in which, anyway, that's neither here nor there. But we're a bit off topic.
I was just gonna. Okay, yeah, we are a lot off topic. I was just gonna like say that like if God has to pertain to the physical necessities of the universe, then he would have to pertain to the mathematical ones as well. So that's why he can't change mathematical ones. So that's why I don't believe God to. Like he can't actually like change the ways of physics because by doing that he would kind of change the ways of math in some extent.
I mean, maybe, but then I think that we're just talking past each other because I don't think anybody here thinks that aliens, even super powerful aliens that maybe exist in other dimensions, couldn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean,
so then
we have good reason to think that they don't, but that's not.
That it pertains.
We're saying that God doesn't exist.
Yes, yeah. So I'm gonna.
God has other attributes. God is a creator, but he has more attributes than just creator.
What? Like what?
For example, he's like immaterial. He's the source of all things other than himself. That's what it means for a God to exist.
Yeah, by your definition, I understand.
Well, by the standard philosophical definition, like if you ask like a philosopher of religion, they'll define God roughly like that.
Yeah, but most philosophers of religion are like based on like like Descartes' examples of like trying to define everything too, and it's a very westernized viewpoint.
Yep,
So,
we live in the West, so a lot of the conversations we're going to have are Western.
Well, don't you think that that's a little bit, culturally insensitive?
We're happy to talk to Hindus. We're happy to talk to Shintos. We're happy to talk to Buddhists, although many Buddhists are atheists. We're happy to talk to whoever. But like, as far as the conception that we are,
you're happy to talk to them, but you're not willing to move your definitions or at least accept somebody else's.
Look, so we are
God
atheist regarding the definition that we've given.
Yeah.
If your claim is that there is like a unifying principle that gives rise to the universe, I don't even know if I'm an atheist about that.
That's
this would be like if you so let's say, I tell you I have a Mustang in my garage, and then you assume it's a horse, but then it turns out that it's a car, and then you're like, well, isn't this kind of insensitive towards people who conceptualize of a Mustang differently? And it's like, not really, I just use the term in a different way. If you're talking about something else,
example,
that's fine. That's just not what's being discussed.
But from my example, like whenever I would I thought it was a horse. Whenever I'd bring up like, oh, what does your Mustang eat and thing, you'd just be like, no, Mustangs cannot eat. And I'm like, oh, well, I think I can think of a Mustang that can eat. Like, well, no, that's not what we can discuss because Mustangs do not eat. So that's how it is insensitive for the fact that you're...
So the correct analogy would be something like, look, I don't think that... The correct analogy would be if Ian said, I think Mustangs are really terrible means of transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, yeah, but like they can run for a really long time and you only have to feed them so much hay. And then Ian's like, that's not what I mean by Mustang.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a horse. I'm talking about a car. And then you say, yeah, but isn't that culturally insensitive? Because you said that Mustangs are bad means of transportation, and you're not considering that other people might mean different things by Mustang. And then Ian said, yeah, that's why I'm telling you what I mean by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't think the analogy properly entails the entirety of the situation of which we were discussing, though, because, like, while your definition, like, means that there has to be a creator, like, if you go back to Buddhists, too, like, a lot of them are atheists, and they, some of them believe in creators, others of them don't. And for you to, like, just disregard what their beliefs of what the universe came from if they don't believe in, like, a creator itself is insensitive from the fact that you won't move the goalpost of what the different cultures and peoples define as God.
But we're debating our idea of
a Western
God. We're saying exactly. God so as a creating entity does not exist, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, we're allowed to have a definition of God and to debate that definition of God. If you've got a different definition of God, like Alf from outer space, then you're welcome to have it. Praise Alf. But we're talking about a creator deity tonight. Well, this morning, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I mean, and that's like what I was kind of like saying, that like when I say like these certain traits can apply to God, and then you say no, they absolutely can't. That's why I'm just saying that it's
that's just not what we mean by it. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like saying that like since our definitions.
To be honest, this just sounds like whining. Like, I don't really know what to make of any of this.
Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to whine or anything. Like, I'm not, like, bothered by this discussion or anything. I'm just,
so if this is a definitional disagreement, then it doesn't sound like there's 100%. Actually a disagreement of substance here. So we are going to move on, Mason. But
it sounds like we agree. And welcome to atheism, Mason. It's a good time.
I mean,
atheism that we are talking about.
Agnostic.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Right.
By the way, we have like a ton of super chats to go over.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Let's grab our super chats. We'll get our next guest loaded up. Magnify, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says, do you think the universe being quantized at Planck length is reasonable evidence of the universe being a simulation? Would that be evidence of a mind creating the universe?
No, we don't know that the universe is quantized at the Planck length. It's just not something that we know about. It's unfortunately one of those things that makes the circles and pop science communicators will say like, did you know that there's a smallest pixel to the, and it's just like we have no reason, like there's some intuition as to like that might be the smallest meaningful distance, but like we have no evidence of that beyond just like this intuition, right?
Right.
So no.
Necktoot, thank you for the super chat. Says there are no pastors in foxholes. I don't know if that's true actually, but
Why would you
it's
put
a funny
pastor
saying.
in a foxhole?
There are certainly are chaplains, I think, that would be willing to do it, but I see the joke you're trying to make, and I approve. Shady says failure is life's greatest teacher. I have learned a lot from the callers today. Fantastic. That was good. That was good. Gretchen, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, question, what do you get if you cross a Unitarian with a Jehovah's Witness? Answer, someone who knocks on your door for no particular reason whatsoever. Absolutely. The jokes are good this morning. I like this.
They
This is
really
good.
are.
I really appreciate a good joke. T-Mass, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, if the universe is cyclical, will humans keep going extinct and then evolving again? I guess it would be different each time, no?
So that's actually, it's an interesting question. It depends on what you mean by cyclical. So in the strictest sense, a cycle is something that repeats itself. It would be the same every time. In which case, yeah, humans would go extinct and then evolve and then go extinct and then evolve for, over however long the cycle is, over and over again. However, a lot of people take cyclical to just mean that kind of the universe expands and then contracts, but it could still be different every time. So it just depends on what you mean by it. There are models that do both.
Sure.
Or either one, I should say.
Super chat from our friend Herbie Shine. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I'm spending a lot of time with Justin today. I've watched 2 hours of last night's live, then Bible studies, the discussion with Mike, and now I've arrived here 2 hours late, AXP, and the line later. Well, Herb, that is accurate. Yeah, we're live all day this morning on Unapologetic, then AXP, and then the line. I got to pace myself. But thank you for being here, Herbie, and thank you for supporting the stream. And remember, friends, if you're following me or Ian or Blitz individually, we are not on our individual channels right now. We're on the Unapologetic live channel. Make sure you're following this channel on TikTok and YouTube so you don't miss any streams. This is a separate endeavor from our individual channels, and we want everyone to be able to follow along and join us here on this endeavor. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it brings out the best of the debate world because we've got, experts or people that are really well trained in the individual topics rather than trying to have one individual person do everything, which I think gives a much better experience for the audience.
Yeah,
Shady.
Currently there are 775 people watching on YouTube and about 900 people watching on TikTok. There's no way that all of you guys are subscribed and following. So if you aren't, make sure to click that button. It doesn't hurt anybody to do that. And you're clearly interested, so just follow, subscribe, do it.
You're already here, friends. Might as well subscribe. Shady, thank you for the super chat. Says God is a non-quiescent, ubiquitous, metaphysical substrata, ambivalent, anthroposophy. What's so hard about that? Listen, you're killing me here with this one. This is a tough one.
I'm sorry, Justin, that I make fun of you for not being able to read. I think you just need glasses, but it is funny every time.
I know. The problem is I'm never going to fix my screen. The text on my screen is tiny because I have so many windows open, and I can't make them bigger without making another window smaller. I know. I've been fighting it for some time. I know I'm old and I probably do require glasses, but it's just the one thing my brain is fighting me on. I don't know why. I'm working on it, friends. I'm a work in progress. To be fair, those were tough words. Those were tough words.
All right, let's bring up our next guest.
Shady, thank you for that. Let's get our next guest online. We had a lot of people fall in while we were talking to the last guest. But I think Exercise Update and Julian and Joey have all been waiting for quite some time. So let me grab Exercise Update and bring them in. Welcome in, Exercise.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, how are you? Can you get a little closer to the microphone? It's pretty quiet.
Yeah, is that better?
Barely.
Maybe?
Like microscopically. Like I still can't hear this guy like hardly at all.
Hang on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're a little on the quiet side.
How is that?
It seems a little clearer.
Yeah.
Okay, I took my phone out of my case to try and make it a little easier.
Much better, actually. Yeah, it works. Yeah. But hey, how old are you, and what's your religion?
I'm 33, and I would say I'm self-determined.
I don't know what that means.
It's a combination of stuff. Like I kind of more fall into the Eastern, like a Taoist mentality, but I think that the reason I'm here today is because I believe that it is useful and reasonable to believe in the concept of God or a higher power. And I was going to see if you guys, I have about 9 points here. I was going to see what you guys thought about it and see if you could help me understand.
Bro took some
where
notes.
my
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well,
but first,
and I want to get clear, right? Do you think God is a real thing that really exists, or do you think that's just like a useful fiction?
well, that is interesting. First,
That
I think it
should
is
have a yes or no answer to it. Or I guess
well.
not
I
yes or
think
no,
it's
an either or.
useful. Right. I think it's useful either to believe for sure. To say it's a fiction is, of course, what we're debating here today. But I think it is useful and reasonable to believe in a higher power. And I think that religion takes advantage of that fact. And I think that that can cause a lot of problems.
So
when people take
maybe
advantage of that.
maybe a clarification here is: do you think that this being exists, or that do you think that that whatever you
Yes.
think God is, do you think that it would exist even if no humans existed?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So you have 9 points.
Okay.
Well, and
yes,
also,
but
I'm
first-
sorry. I hate to keep kicking the ball down the road, but can you give like a definition of this God? Like, what attributes does it have?
Yeah, I can. I was a little distraught, though, I must say, when you guys kind of turned your "what is God? God isn't real" to only the Western definition of God. Because I think God is essentially, you've heard it many times on here, God is like the logic of reality. But in and of itself, believing that it is a being or that there is like the attributes of an afterlife, I think are demonstratively beneficial.
Nobody
in
said afterlife here.
No, I'm saying like that concept that's normally related, but I'm not even suggesting it's real or not. I would like to believe it is. I prefer to believe it is. Do I know it is? I'm more agnostic on set beliefs.
So
but
just to
I
be
think
clear,
if
you're
you-
telling us that you don't think that God is a mind responsible for physical reality?
No, I think that could be accurate. Absolutely. Like if God was everything and all to begin with, then everything was essentially an unimaginable white light. And then he would have to, within himself, create something to talk to because, maybe he's just bored. And then he decided to create the physics of the universe with his own body because he is everything and everything. And so that just naturally developed into the laws of nature. And then he just watches the play out. Like,
Do you think God's timeless?
Yes, I would
How
suppose
does a timeless
so.
God get bored?
Well, I mean, yeah, wouldn't you? There's nothing to talk to or nothing to think about because you already know everything. So if you were to reset your minds,
I
to
don't think that you can
re-experience
do
the
anything
world-
if you're timeless.
Yeah, I don't think that there's like a passage of time to get bored of.
Well, if you think that you're timeless, do you think that you can create a pocket of time within it? Like
No.
a
I don't think that you
subsection
can
of-
do anything if
like-
you're timeless.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a belief, a supposition on the powers of something
I
that
mean,
we
like-
could not conceive.
Like time,
So-
it seems like time is required for things to happen. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happening
I would
means
agree,
that
for sure.
there was a state of affairs before and there will be a state of affairs after, and
Yeah.
it kind of assumes
Right.
time exists.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It seems
And that's what I
unclear that.
mean. And so but if time has a beginning and an end, then to say that there's a God outside of time would say that he is timeless and he would be the thing outside of the beginning and the end, outside of that boundary. Because also to suggest a boundary is to suggest something on the other side, I would say. But
Like an illogical thing, maybe?
yeah, sure. I don't. It's in Islamic faith they call it something that cannot be described. Every time you try to describe God, you will always fall short, and that I think that kind of falls into the philosophy of like Plato's cave, and like Descartes and the veil. That you can't really knowing things about reality. Even
Sorry, who was that?
Yes.
The veil?
I forget. But it's like Lavoisier's seals. So, yeah.
You know what is timeless? Ian's bolo tie.
Yes.
Hey, no, that is classic. But
Like, what are you doing, Ian?
I don't know, man. I'm just sad.
About
I'm
the bolo
sorry.
tie?
No, not about the bolo tie.
About the
Yeah, life is
desecration
hard.
of philosophy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Why? Well, philosophy
Because I
hasn't
feel
gone
like
anywhere.
you invoked a lot of concepts that just like didn't mean anything in this context. Like
How do you mean?
like the so Plato's cave. What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think the point of Plato's cave is?
That that we can easily be fooled by shadows, that it even if we try to go up to higher layers, we're still stuck by shadows. But the revelation of getting up to a higher light is a sense of enlightenment. You always want to try to get closer to the true light, even though shadows dance around us, and even though people could be shackled to those shadows and believe those shadows are real. In the same way, I think that is an analogy to the Muslims' interpretation that God cannot be described, even though they are definitely a theist religion. And I'm not a Muslim, but I know
I don't want to
that's-
derail this too hard, but when
Yeah.
Plato talks about the shadows, what do you think that he's referring to?
impressions of reality.
Not really. What
What
he's
would you
referring to at the lowest level of the cave, what he's referring to is people who have beliefs just because somebody like told them that. That there's like
Yeah.
lots of different ways to go about forming your beliefs, and that you should be engaging in a rational thought process. You need to go beyond opinion, beyond rhetoric. You need to go to try to grasp at the form of the thing, that things have like an underlying essence, and that through rational reflection, you can arrive at that underlying essence by reflecting on the nature of the thing. It's specifically a claim about rejecting the epistemology of just listening to what somebody who's rhetorically savvy tells you, in order to embrace logic and arrive at like some sort of like true reality of the matter. But regardless, do you have evidence
I
that
think
God
that's-
exists?
I think that's important. I think everything you said is my faith, my brother. That is the righteous path. That is wholly beyond to you, those who seek the truth. I think that is where God lies. And I think that is why it's useful to believe in God, and that there is a higher logic or a higher power. Because as you just described, like, you can't just believe in the preachers or this authority. And so one of the benefits of believing in a God is that even if you are told to do something, if you know something else to be true or something else to be right, that kind of gives you a higher authority to reach to. It says, hey, I know you're just a man, but I'm speaking to God now, which here could be like physics, the truth, mathematics, how the universe reveals itself to us. That's how I interpret God.
Do you have any reason to think that God exists, though?
Yes, and it kind of goes back to Blitz's example. Well, Mason gave the example about cycles, and so I mean, just in the intelligence too. I can kind of get to it on these points. Maybe we get to these points, and you guys talk to me about them, and then maybe you can convince me of your perspective. So the first one is either God is real and has always been real, or God is not real and has never been real. And we're going to get to what you just asked as well.
You missed the third point, which is that there could have been a God and he's dead now.
That's interesting. That would be cool.
Well, that depends on what you mean by God. I would contend that God can't die. So if God
Yes,
exists,
or
Fair
like a
enough.
timeless
Fair
God.
enough.
Presumably a
Yeah, yeah.
timeless God, or like a God that's the source of all other things, is going to be necessary. If you go back, either it's there or it's not. So
Right.
it seems like that would give it like if it exists, then it exists necessarily.
For sure. And if it doesn't exist, it would be the same thing, I suppose. And so my next point was getting to the problem of definitions, like Lavoisier's seals, Plato's cave, Descartes. So you can only really know, like, I think, and then everything else is kind of justification after that. Helmholtz as well, which is fundamental for physics. And so, and you're asking me for my evidence. And so it's like, it kind of gets to this Western definition. It's, what evidence do you think that your definition of God is correct?
it's not. That's not an evidence question.
Yeah.
It's just a question of semantics. Like, what do we mean when we say words versus what do you mean when you say words?
Yeah. When you say
Okay.
a word, when you invoke a concept, there's like some sort of mental representation. So when people are talking past each other, it's because there are two different mental representations that are being discussed as if it's the same thing. So the reason why conversations go nowhere, the reason why it's like confusing or like frustrating is because we have like one thing in our mind, you have a different thing in your mind. We'll make a claim that's true about the thing in our mind that's not true about the thing in your mind. And it's just good to clarify what we mean. You know, if you mean something else, if there's a different picture in your mind, that's fine. That's just not what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you're inviting people to make the claim that your concept of God, defend your concept of God. And so I was just asking, and you asked me my evidence for God existing, but it would be evidence of my definition of God, wouldn't it? Like more than the
No,
definition.
it's evidence for the concept that your definition points to. But if you and I,
Okay.
if you and we have different notions of God, then you
Right.
might have evidence for whatever notion that you're pointing to, and we might just not disagree with you. But that's just not what we mean when we say that God doesn't exist.
Right, but then doesn't this all become kind of a non-starter because other people can have a
Yes,
different
conversations with
definition?
people who fundamentally disagree on definitions are just wholly uninteresting because often
Yeah.
we actually agree on the substance of the point.
Yeah, at that point, the conversation is no longer about like what type of thing is out there in reality, like what is foundational to reality or anything of that sort. It's like when I use my larynx to make sounds, what picture is that connected to? What are the mouth sounds connected to? It's a boring conversation. I don't know. I don't find it interesting at all.
For sure. Okay. But do you know the placebo effect to be true?
There's good evidence
Oh
for
wait,
the
so
placebo
just to be
effect.
clear, exercise. Are we going to do the thing where it's like, where we're just disagreeing on what we mean by God and not actually on the substance of the matter?
Well, I think we're talking about the substance of the matter right now because the argument that you think it's part of your argument is unreasonable to believe in God.
Yes, and by
Part of
God
it,
we
right?
mean the very particular thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so limiting. And I think of people of philosophy to have
Then
such a
don't
limited
join.
definition. Well,
If you don't
it's
want
not.
to talk about the thing we're talking about,
It's
then
okay, I
don't
kicked
join.
him.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, you want to bring up the next guest?
Yeah, maybe we should give a disclaimer. Hey, you know,
Actually, I can bring up a guest.
you want
Sure.
you think our definition is dumb? Cool. We don't care. You know, if you
All
don't
right,
think a
let's talk
mind
to
created the
Joey.
universe, just like simply don't request to
Oh,
join.
I'm sorry. Did I miss super chats? I missed super chats.
We
I
got
forgot
two
that I have the
super
power to kick
chats.
people.
We can grab super chats real quick.
Yeah, let's read those really quick.
Tabus, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says been watching for a month and a half of Ian and the Unholy Trinity. You guys seem all right. Always love the debates. Well, thank you, Tabus. I really appreciate that, and thanks for supporting the channel. Also, Crucifix
thank
me,
you.
thank you. Says if God claims them, why sell him so hard? Rock hard for dog. Wait, calms. I'm sorry.
Calms them.
I'm seeing the optometrist this week. If God
Good.
calms them, why sell him so hard? I don't know what you mean by sell. Why sell him so hard?
I don't know.
I don't know. Good question. Maybe maybe I'm not understanding it. Anyways, thanks for the super chat. Adam, last one. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says theologian Thomas J.J. Altizer believed that the death of Jesus was the actual death of God. While not metaphysically sound, it's an interesting take on the mythology. I know the Trinity lore always gets me because there's always this nonsense like, well, if Jesus is God, then claims about God can be applied to Jesus and like different things like that. But if the Trinity is true, that also means that Jesus knocked up his own mother to give birth to himself, which is
Hey, no,
just
we can't talk
absurd.
about that on TikTok.
That's
All
we
right,
gotta be
Joey,
careful.
can you hear us?
Joey right now looks
Joey looks not present.
there we go. Joey, you with us? Joey?
Joseph.
Joey?
Joseph Daniel.
Joey, if you're off the app, we can't hear you. You got to return to the app. Return to the app immediately, Joey.
I feel bad if this is all he's gonna do. He was waiting in line for a while.
Guards, seize him.
He's been seized.
Okay.
Oh, well, what are you gonna do? Julian's coming in next.
Julian?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Good,
Julian.
how are you doing? Julian,
good.
are you at least 18, and do you believe in some kind of a God?
Yes, sir. I'm 25. I do believe in a God.
Cool. And
Cool.
which
Which
God
one?
do you believe in?
I believe in a Christian God.
Okay.
What do you think is the strongest evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Yeah. I think for me, I think it's when we look around and observe what we can observe within the observable universe, in our day-to-day basis. I find it more rational to conclude that the universe has a beginning or a start point, and then from there, just kind of using logic that most things that have a beginning tend to have a cause. And so
So if we say, if you look around at the universe, the observable universe, and then we say, well, we think that it's more rational to believe that there isn't a God, what do we do?
Well, yeah, I think from there it's about both sides removing their presuppositions. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
believe
Like,
that-
what's the argument that you want to make, rather than just saying, well, it just kind of looks like you shouldn't believe in a God, or you should believe in God?
Well, I guess the argument I'm trying to make is, I guess you can call it the Kalam argument, which is that all things that begin to exist have a cause. And so for me, and I'll use an example, or not an example, like a analogy,
Well, hold
I
on.
guess.
You need to finish the kalam, right? All things that begin to exist have a cause. And then you need to say that the universe began to exist. And
Right,
then you
yeah,
can conclude that the universe has a cause. But actually, suppose that we grant all of that. How do you know that that causes God?
Well, yeah, so I guess we would have to define terms. So if we define the universe as, I would say the universe is the totality of space, matter, time, energy.
Sure.
And then I would define God as an eternal, spaceless, necessary mind that created.
But how do you get to a mind from the universe has a cause?
The universe wouldn't cause itself,
Well, that's not the point. So you're saying that even if you grant the premises of the Kalam cosmological argument, the conclusion that you come to is that the universe has a cause. Now you're saying that causes God. Okay, but God has the property of being a mind. How do you conclude that the cause of the universe has a mind?
Well, because I believe our universe is rational and logical. So I don't think we live in an illogical, irrational universe.
How does that get you to a mind is the cause?
Because minds have rationality and logic within our minds. So if our universe is illogical and irrational, then I think it'll be fair to assume that we come from an irrational, illogical creation.
No, I think you're making.
What does it mean for the universe to be logical and rational?
Yeah,
What does that
That was
mean?
exactly my question.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
We abide by things like laws of logic, mathematical principles. We abide by these things. We're bound.
Laws of logic are rules of inference. So laws of logic are only relevant when you're trying to deliberate about conclusions.
Okay, but can you agree that we're bound by the laws of logic?
In our inferences about conclusions? Yeah?
No, just in general, the laws.
I
of
don't know what
logic.
it means to be bound by the laws of logic if we're not talking about
For example,
inferences.
you couldn't be Ian and Dr. Blitz at the same time, right?
You're talking about an inference there. We couldn't infer that I'm Ian and not Ian. So in terms of
That's more
inferences,
than-
I agree we're bound by the laws of logic.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I say within our universe, we are bound by these laws that are rational. And so
Only
I
in
don't
our
think-
inferences. We can't infer something that's illogical and have it be logical.
Right.
The point is it doesn't make sense to talk about the universe being bound by something because the universe is not inferences.
Yeah.
The way that you think about the universe might be built on inferences, but then of course you would expect that inferences and logic require a mind because those things would require thinking. But that's just how we think about the universe, not how the universe is.
What do you guys mean by inferences? What do you guys mean by that?
So when you reason from some conclusion to a further conclusion, that's an inference.
Right. Okay, so yeah, so
Like a deduction.
Yeah.
deductive reasoning. So wouldn't you guys say that it makes the most sense, deductively speaking, that we come from a rational mind and not an irrational?
Well, you'd have to deduce that. So by all means, make your deductive argument.
Yeah, why would we think that?
Okay, let me try to come up with a deductive argument. I guess I'll use this. I've used it before. It didn't really work on the last people I used it, but I'll try it again.
Yes, doing a failed thing again will be more likely to succeed this time.
No,
Go ahead.
no, it's
sorry,
good.
I'm being cheeky. Go ahead.
You can get the reps in.
I'll try to do it better this time. So I say it like, not say this. Okay. Like let's imagine that we build a house and we lock people inside of that house, right? And the people inside of that house, they have no idea how they even got there, why they're there, or they don't even know what they're even in. But eventually they start studying and start observing things within that house, right? And they start, pulling things off the walls and breaking the foundation of the house that they're in. And they start to realize that the pieces of that house are not indestructible and not eternal. They can set these things on fire. They can turn it to ash, right? These things are coming towards an end. They start to realize that the more they study it. And so the most irrational assumption for them to make at that point is that the house that they are in itself is also not eternal, because the things that make up that house are not eternal. It would be irrational.
Wait, so just to be clear, Julian, so the original question that I asked and how we got on this talking point is, suppose that we grant the first two premises of the cosmological argument. Namely, suppose that the universe had a beginning. Suppose that all things that have a beginning have a cause. How do you get to a God? That's the question.
Well, I feel like I was going to get to that point, but I was.
Well, you were. I mean, the reason I cut you off is because you were again arguing for the universe having a cause, or for the universe having a beginning, rather.
No,
like, for the sake of argument, we can just grant that that's the case. I mean, not everybody here will, but just for the sake of an interesting conversation, that's fine.
Well, I was trying to make my deductive example, or deductive argument using the example.
Well, a deductive argument isn't an example. A deductive argument is a series of premises that lead to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Did you guys want me to finish or no?
If you're going to give a deductive argument, sure, but an example is not a deductive argument.
Okay.
Like, you started with a deductive argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe begins to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. That's a deductive argument. So, like, do that, but for, like, why that cause for the universe is a mind.
Okay. Well,
you could run. So I don't know. Maybe I'll run like a couple of. Maybe I'll run two. Maybe I'll run 3 like counter inductions. Everything.
Well, let's let him make an induction first.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, I guess I'll say, like I said, all things that begin to exist must have a cause. The universe most likely began to exist. Therefore, the universe most likely has a cause.
Right. Okay. So far, so good.
So from there, it's about coming to the most rational assumption. And so
the way that you come to a rational conclusion. The way that you come to a rational conclusion is via deductive or inductive or abductive reasoning. So give us one of the arguments.
So one of my arguments was kind of what I was saying earlier, which is when we observe the things within our universe, we don't see things that are eternal. We see things that have.
You're just arguing again for the second premise. We're not like, I mean, we can talk about that, but for the sake of argument, we're just saying, yeah, the universe had a beginning. Okay, how do you get to a God?
Okay, so if you were to grant me for the sake of the argument, the universe has a beginning, then I guess from there you have to say, well, what would be the cause? What would be powerful enough to cause this universe?
Yeah,
and what
sure.
could cause it? universe, right? So I guess let's just define the universe. What would you guys define the universe as?
Let's say all of physical reality.
Right. So
Space, time, matter. Sure.
Right. So could time cause itself?
Why couldn't something else cause time?
Yeah.
Right. So something outside
yeah,
of time.
So those things did not cause themselves, sure.
Right. So if those things can't cause themselves, then something outside of it must cause it.
Yeah, we agree. Why is that thing God?
Right. So I define God as timeless, eternal, immaterial.
Right, but we're asking why.
Does that thing have a mind?
Yeah, how do we get to a mind in all of this?
Well, so I say mind because I believe our universe shows signs of rationality and intelligence. So I don't think that it would make much sense for the creator to not have an intelligent mind.
Well, you're assuming that there's a creator and the creator thinks a certain way. We're asking, you're at premise or argument number 2, which is like defining the creator. We don't even know there was a creator
cause.
yet.
We don't even know if it's a creator, right? It's a cause.
We're trying to see how you're connecting the cause to a creator as opposed to just an unknown naturalistic phenomenon.
Or metaphysical thing. Like so, maybe like some abstract platonic object caused the universe or something.
The life-granting unicorn.
So let's say that's why I say what makes the most sense here. Like
yeah, okay, so make the argument.
That's what I'm trying to do. I feel like you guys aren't like willing to follow me.
No, so I'm asking, like, what are the premises that go from premise 1, the universe has a cause, premise 2, something, conclusion, the cause of the universe is God.
Yeah. Why would I think, so let's say the universe has a cause. Why would I assume that that cause is a mind? What gives it mind-like properties?
What gives...
Yeah, why would I think that the universe came from a mind?
This is what I was trying to say. You guys keep like not understanding. I say that the universe most likely came from a mind because our universe shows signs of intelligence. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand.
Like what?
Do you guys agree that our universe has
like what?
Like
no,
laws
we
of
do not
logic,
agree.
like laws of physics, like mathematical principles.
Well, we don't think that's intelligence.
That's not intelligent?
No. So in terms of like laws of logic or mathematics, like these things are going to be grounded in specific like necessary structures, right? So the fact that one thing is different from another thing is going to be the grounding of laws of logic.
But that's not answering my question. Would you guys consider laws of logic intelligent or unintelligent?
I don't know what that means. I think intelligence is a property of a mind, so I'm not really sure. I'm honestly not really sure what it means to describe something that's not a mind as intelligent.
Like, would you call like a black hole intelligent? Like,
yeah,
black holes
like
don't have minds. It's sort of category error.
Is a Ford F-150 intelligent? I mean,
yeah.
I don't think so. Like, not really. You know.
Well, it's right, not even. The answer's not even no. It's a category error.
Yeah.
Right? Let's change the word. Logical.
Are the laws of logic logical? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but the question is a Ford F-150 logical? It's a category error.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like everything I say, you guys just shoot me down. Like you're not willing to engage with what I'm saying. It sounds.
We are engaging. No. It just seems like you don't really have a way to reach the conclusion. And I think that this is like a fun approach to the Kalam, right? Because the stage 1 argument is highly contentious, but the stage 2 argument is under talked about and gibberish. Like the stage 2 argument that attempts to establish from the universe has a cause to therefore the cause is God. It's like a mind that created it. All of this stuff is like just gibberish. Nobody can give an actual coherent explanation for why we would think that a mind did that, other than like committing a bunch of category errors.
All right. Well, let me try this, right? So when we defined the universe, we defined it as space, time, matter, and energy, correct?
Well, I wouldn't put energy in there, but sure.
Okay, so just space, time, and matter.
Yeah.
So based off of that, right, whatever caused space must be outside of space.
Yep.
Whatever caused time must be outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Whatever created matter must be outside of matter.
Yeah, sure. Why is it a mind?
Also, I mean, whatever created the universe must be powerful enough to do it. It can't be not
Sure.
powerful.
Insofar as it has universe creating power, sure.
Yeah.
Right,
Needs to
so
have the
from there-
disposition to create the universe. Yeah.
Right. So from those three things from those four things that we can put together, right? It must be powerful, spaceless, timeless, right? That starts to sound like the definition of God to me.
No, we're still missing the key ingredient, which is a mind.
Well, this is why I say intelligent, but you guys didn't like that word. So I think
Right, that's
only
the thing that you have to defend. You have to defend that our universe shows signs of being intelligently created.
Well, okay. I think if I have to argue with you guys that our universe shows signs of intelligence, I feel like that's maybe
That's
we're
the
not gonna
whole
do that.
crux of your claim. If you can't defend that, then I don't know how you come to the conclusion.
Well, I can defend it, but it doesn't seem like you guys
Then
agree
do
that
it.
the universe is intelligent.
Provide
First
an
of all-
argument. It's not enough to just say, it kind of looks that way.
Saying the laws of logic. I mean, mathematical.
Okay, but the laws of
principles.
logic are descriptions of mental things. The laws of logic, at least in my
Question.
worldview, are not things
Can I
that
ask you guys a
exist
question?
outside of human minds.
Can I ask? Do you believe the universe is intelligent at all? Has any signs of intelligence?
Well, I don't know
No.
what that like. There
I
are
think it's a category
intelligent
error.
creatures like humans. Like minds exist. Humans exist in the universe. I guess those things can be intelligent. But like outside of that, like I don't. You know, I don't think like. I don't think a star is intelligent. I don't think space-time is intelligent. I don't think that like gravity is intelligent. Don't think like laws of physics are intelligent. Like these are all just like category errors.
What do you mean by a category error?
So it's when you're attempting to attribute a property to a thing that categorically does not apply.
Like
So,
what color? Like what color does a rose smell like?
Yeah, it's not a smell. Color isn't a smell.
So for me saying that I believe the universe is intelligent is a category error?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
intelligence is the property of a mind.
Well,
It's
that
not
would
a property
follow
of like
that-
immaterial things.
Yeah.
So things like physics, right? I mean, these very precise.
Physics isn't a thing.
Well, I know it's an immaterial law, right?
It's
these
not
things-
even that. It's like a type of science.
Okay. Let me try something else. Do you guys? What about gravity? Like,
Are you talking about the law of gravity, or are you talking about the phenomenon of gravity, or the
It's just like the law of gravity.
theory of gravity?
You're asking
Yeah.
if gravity is intelligent?
Well, I think that it's not unintelligent. to say it
Yeah,
like
let me
that. I
think
don't
about it. It's a category error. Gravity isn't a mind.
Do you guys? What about DNA coding? Like these things.
Same.
Is DNA a mind?
No, guys. I feel like you guys are being very disingenuous.
Then it's not
together. I don't
intelligent.
know why.
What do you mean by it? So, does it make sense to say that like a tree is intelligent? Does that make sense to you?
So, what would you guys describe DNA coding, other than like?
I would
you
call
say
it a
it's not
chemical.
intelligent? It's just
Lots
a
of
chemical. Does
things.
it have
There's
any
like lots
type
of predications that you can apply to DNA coding. You know, it's like these specific molecules, it functions in these specific ways. You could say a lot of things about DNA coding. I don't think you can say that it's intelligent because that's the property that minds have.
So,
And not a property
We do
property that
science.
any subset of chemicals has.
Yeah.
when we do science, are you guys observing intelligence at all? Are you guys?
If you're a neuroscientist, maybe. If you're
Yeah.
a psychologist, maybe.
So how
Not
does,
if you're like
so
a chemist.
What's the point of doing science if nothing in our universe is intelligent?
The point of doing science is to understand our universe.
Yeah.
I don't know why the
If-
universe has to be intelligent for us to understand it.
How can you understand something that's not intelligent?
Or by intelligent,
well,
you mean like
I understand Christians
intelligible?
pretty well.
Intelligible, yes, like understandable, like
Okay.
patterns, things like that.
So intelligible is very different from intelligent. So the
well, that's what I'm
intelligibility of
saying.
things is probably going to come down to like, I don't know, maybe like a locality explanation that via like brains and like the local properties of the universe that we're capable of interacting with our environments, that things are capable of causing specific reactions in our brains and we're capable of engaging with those things and observing them. That's what causes things to be intelligible.
Right. But that's your presupposition. You believe.
Yeah,
that,
you're
you
asking
know-
about our worldview.
Right. So now I'm giving you my worldview, which is I believe that comes from an intelligible mind.
Prove it.
Right. So what I was trying to do with the Kalam argument was to show why it's more rational to believe that a powerful, spaceless, immaterial, intelligible
Prove
mind.
that a mind is the cause of this.
Well, I'm not here to give you 100% proof because I don't think you can prove to me.
You can
100%.
provide evidence. Evidence would be good.
That's what I'm trying to do. So with
what evidence have you? I mean, so you said, okay, so you pointed to DNA. How does DNA point to an intelligent creator?
Because DNA is a code, right? These are codes. And
well, I think you're equivocating a bit on code.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, DNA is not literally a code. It's literally a chemical. And, you can kind of view it metaphorically as a code. But it's not like literally a code, right?
Yeah, if by code you mean like something that has like an input and an output when operated on like a specific way, then we'd probably agree with that. But if by code you mean something that's like that has like a meaning, then we would like reject this.
A type of software?
Yeah.
No, not a type of software. Just like when I say code, it's like a specific, I guess like specific hardware that makes it why it is this way kind of thing.
But that's just not what code isn't hardware.
Yeah, code is software.
Software, yeah. Sorry. But that's what I'm trying to say by code. For me, I couldn't give you an example of something that doesn't have a mind that can create a software or code or something like that, right? Like, could you imagine like a rock creating a software code?
Well, no, but look, here's the issue. You're so you're saying, okay, well, let's say that we don't know what caused let's say we don't know what caused DNA. Sure. It's either an intelligent creator or something unintelligent, or something that's non-intelligent, right? It's some non-intelligent cause. It doesn't have a mind. And so you're saying, well, there are things that resemble DNA, like software code, and that's created by a mind. And you're saying, well, okay, then we can reasonably infer that because there's a resemblance there, then the creators must bear a resemblance, and maybe the creators bear the resemblance of having a mind. Sure, that's perhaps a reasonable argument. However, we can look at other things that bear a resemblance to DNA, like literally any other chemical in the universe. They all bear resemblance to DNA insofar as they're all chemicals, and all of those chemicals, we know how they form. We know how those chemicals form. We can describe the chemistry that happens, and that those things are created in a non-mindful way. They don't require a mind. So it seems like on the grounds of if we don't know where DNA comes from, which by the way we kind of do, on those grounds that we can say, well, there's a resemblance here, so we can talk about a resemblance of the creator. Then we come to the conclusion that we just don't have enough information. In some ways of finding family resemblance, you come to the conclusion that DNA has a creator, a mindful creator, and in some ways of doing the family resemblance analysis, you come to the conclusion that DNA does not have a mindful creator. So it seems like we're just kind of stuck, not able to come to a conclusion based on DNA alone.
Not necessarily, because I see what you did there. What you did is you imposed your presupposition.
What presupposition did I impose?
You presuppose that there is no mind to anything in the universe.
No, I was giving another family resemblance, right? That we do understand that doesn't require a mind. For example, like when we talk about when we talk about combustion, like burning, hydrogen and combining it with oxygen to form H2O, we understand how that happens, and it doesn't require a mind.
That's a presupposition.
That's just standard chemistry.
But when you say it doesn't require a mind, you're presupposing that there isn't a mind behind all things of the universe.
Well, no, we're talking about the proximal cause here, not like the ultimate cause.
Well,
because if your way of rejecting the family resemblance arguments that I just gave is by presupposing that everything or all things have a mindful cause, well then you can't use anything as an argument, because you'll just say that thing is actually caused by the thing you're trying to argue for. You end up making a circular argument.
So what I'm trying to say is, let's remove presuppositions in general.
Yeah,
like
let's remove presuppositions in general.
Just for the sake of the argument, right? You remove yours, I remove mine, right? Because one of your presuppositions is you don't believe the universe has a mind at all, right?
Right, and you believe that everything in the universe comes from a mind.
So
sure.
When we remove that, if we both
remove that. So then remove the presupposition that DNA is code.
Okay, cool. So let's remove
so now you can't use DNA to argue for the existence of a mind creating it.
No, but what I can do is I can use the things that I observe around me in my everyday life, and this is what I was.
What does that have to do with DNA?
So this let me finish. So this is what I was going back to when I was making the house argument, or not argument, the house analogy, I guess, is when we observe the things around us, we don't see things that cause themselves. We don't see things.
We grant stage one. Stage one is granted.
Stage one.
Yeah.
You guys won't let me finish my argument. Every time I say something, you interrupt me.
Stage one, we grant the argument that the universe has a cause. We grant it. It's granted. The house. You don't need to go back to the house analogy. We grant it.
So if you grant it, then you should grant my conclusion, which is that it's irrational to assume that the universe is eternal.
We've granted that.
Yeah, we granted that. It's granted.
So
we're not assuming the universe is eternal.
It's
granted.
granted.
Granting that you hold an irrational position.
For the sake of argument, we're saying the universe is not eternal.
Yeah, we're granting. We grant the universe is not eternal. Why? How do we get from the universe is not eternal, therefore God?
Well, if the universe isn't eternal, it has a beginning. At the beginning,
yeah,
if it has a cause,
we've granted this. Yeah, we've granted all of this.
Yeah,
how do we go from the universe has a cause to God?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are granting me the argument. Basically, what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for the God part.
Yeah.
So we for the sake of argument, we're granting the universe is not eternal. The universe has a cause. We're granting that the universe began to exist. We grant it. We grant all of that. Why should we think that the cause is God?
Yes, because our universe is intelligible. Right.
Intelligible. Why is God the one and only way that we could have intelligibility?
If our universe was created with let's say our universe just happened to explode out of randomness and nowhere, right? There was no
That's not the claim.
Wait, that's not what I'm trying to say is, right?
Okay.
So there's two options, right? Either our universe has an intelligible cause or an unintelligible cause, right? If our universe has an unintelligible cause, there would be no reason for our universe to have to
Hold
be
on.
intelligible.
Just to be clear, we can grant that the universe has an intelligible cause.
Yeah.
How does that get you to God?
Yeah.
If our universe has an intelligible cause, what else could cause the universe that is intelligible?
It's a question. He doesn't have a proof. All he can do is shift the burden.
I do have it.
It's just burden shifting. When you ask a question, you're just burden shifting.
So when we speak about intelligence and intelligible, right? We're speaking of minds, right? Would you say a rock is intelligible?
When we say that something is intelligible, what it means is that we as intelligent beings are able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Would you say a rock is intelligent or intelligible in any sense?
A rock is intelligible.
It's intelligible. It's not intelligent.
It's not intelligent.
Yeah.
Hey, ditto.
Okay. Do rocks have minds?
No.
Right. So, okay, cool. So we can agree.
He just can't establish the conclusion, and he's like dancing around as if he can.
We can agree that immaterial, right, things. I'm sorry, not immaterial. We can agree that matter, like mindless matter, doesn't have a mind, right? So therefore,
A is A. Yeah, I agree.
So therefore, when we're speaking about our universe at the beginning, the cause of it, it can't be mindless matter.
Why not?
Right. Because it doesn't have a mind. And our universe is intelligible.
Wait, no. If it doesn't have a mind, then it is mindless matter. Yeah.
Therefore it can't be the cause of our universe.
Why not?
The universe is not the cause of the universe. You're right.
Yeah.
Because our universe is intelligible. Therefore it must have a
intelligible
mind.
And intelligent are not the same thing.
Well,
something being intelligible does not entail that it's intelligent. You understand that, right? A rock is intelligible, but it's not intelligent.
Okay, well, I believe the universe is intelligent, but you guys don't.
That's a category error.
Yeah. He can't establish that the universe needs a mind to cause it, so he's just reiterating, I think the universe is intelligent, and we'll reiterate that's a category error.
I just don't see how that's a category error.
What about the universe do you think is intelligent?
I'll say this again. I said it multiple times. Things like the laws of logic, things like the laws of physics.
Define like intelligent. Could you give me a definition of intelligent?
Do you want like a dictionary definition?
Yeah,
Or
whatever sense you're using.
I mean, I would say intelligence to me is something. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's going to be a problem because your argument is based on a vibe.
well, it's not really a vibe. I think something intelligent is something that you can observe that is, how do I say this? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a different.
I think what you want to say is that the universe is intelligible, meaning you can understand it. That's different than saying the universe is intelligent, because having intelligence requires you to have a mind.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. And the question is why do you need something intelligent to create something intelligible?
I just think that tracks. Like I feel like it doesn't track. I feel like it doesn't track.
So,
you philosophical juggernaut, you.
I just feel like it doesn't track if you say that something intelligent created something unintelligible.
You got it backwards. Something non-intelligent created something intelligible. I don't see what's wrong with that. Where's the issue?
I just feel I believe that doesn't make much sense, rationally speaking.
Like, does it violate a law of logic? Like, what are we doing here?
Do you just have like an intuition against it? Is it just like a vibe that it's wrong?
Well, I wouldn't say vibe. I would say I do have an intuition against that. It doesn't feel like the best conclusion to come to. Like something unintelligent creating things that are very intelligible doesn't seem, in my gut, it doesn't seem like that.
I actually have an interesting question. So would you say, and I mean, maybe we actually, before I ask this, Justin, do you just want to move on and get in another guest?
Yeah, I think we've got time for at least one more guest, and I think this conversation has become unintelligent.
Do you mean unintelligible? No. Conversations can't be intelligent. Well, yeah. So Julian, so just a parting thought before we let you go, because we do want to move on to another guest. Do you think that the universe is intelligible to fish? Something to think about. But in the meantime, we do want to thank you for being here. Want to read some super chats before we move on?
Yes. Jam Nick, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, a man on a rooftop bar takes a shot, steps over the edge, then floats back up. A patron asks how. The man says the shot causes him to float. Other half. The other patron takes a shot, steps off the roof, then falls to the ground. The bartender says, you're a real jerk when you're drunk, Superman.
I love that joke. It's so funny.
I haven't heard that, but that's a good one. I appreciate that one. I think next in line, if I remember correctly, is either Tracy or Quasar. Did you guys see who came in first?
I didn't. But if they have a name like Quasar... Wait. If they have a name like Quasar, I actually don't even see Quasar in the guest box.
Really?
Yeah, bring up Quasar,
They must have you blocked. They've got you blocked, Blitz.
Oh, they probably do.
Well, that's why you need to bring them up. That's
Welcome in, Quasar.
Oh, okay. I mean, it could just be the TikTok was being buggy.
Could be. Quasar, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yes and yes. I'm 20 and I'm a Christian.
Okay. And what's your most convincing evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Well, I've put together a few things. Probably not going to be able to get to them all, just based on listening to the previous guests and the previous arguments that you both have been making. So, just to clarify, I know you asked a few other guests this question. What is the definition of God that you guys are saying you're atheists against, I guess?
A mind that created the universe.
Okay. So you're saying that there is no way, or we have no evidence, that a mind created the universe?
Yep.
Yeah.
We should be a little bit careful and say all physical reality rather than just the universe.
Sure.
Because otherwise people might equivocate on that.
What? How so? Sorry.
Well, some people will say that, oh, well, our universe, like, you know, maybe there was a simulator that created our universe, but they're just in their own physical universe. So saying a mind that created all physical reality kind of is really getting at what we mean.
So the Gary thing that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And so the God, so you're saying that there wouldn't be a God. There could be some sort of alien that rules over our universe, but you're talking about there's no way that there's a God that rules over our universe and Gary's universe too.
And all universes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think a good argument that I always want to ask you guys is kind of the last guy was kind of talking about the like I'm sorry, what do you call it? The like the inferring thing, the deducing thing.
Logic?
Right? Okay. Yeah, logic. Right. So so the last guy was saying you could logically, or we were saying you could logically say that I'm sorry, can you remind me of the steps there that you granted him?
That the universe has a cause.
Yeah. Universe is a cause. How do we get to God? Why would you think that
Okay.
that cause is a mind?
I would say that the fact that humans are rational beings, and you know, when humans procreate, we make more rational beings, so therefore it takes a rational being to create a rational being. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't follow. I mean, just think evolutionarily, right? At some point in the evolutionary past, you would say that there was a being that was not rational, right? Like maybe a fish or like a bacteria or whatever it might be. And then through the process of evolution, we ended up with a series of organisms that eventually were rational. So in some sense, if you think of rationality as being either like a binary, either being there or not being there, then at some point it must have arisen naturally from something that's not rational.
Okay. I would agree with that. So I also wanted to ask a few more questions about your definition of God. So if this God couldn't create the universe, right? You don't believe that could be possible, or the physical universe, sorry. What could this God do?
We don't think he exists because we don't think that he could
Right.
create the physical universe. So a God
Right.
that can't create the physical universe is a contradiction. Contradictions don't exist, so God doesn't exist.
Okay, contradictions don't exist.
Yeah.
I mean,
So don't you?
do you have the opinion that they do exist?
I mean, don't you think you're thinking a little like small? What if you think it's a contradiction?
Can you name a
but
contradiction that
not?
does exist?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what if you think that it is a contradiction, but upon further inspection or
We're not,
upon
we're,
looking
we're not
at,
asking about opinions. We're saying in reality,
I'm
can a
not
Yeah.
talking
contradiction
about an
exist?
opinion.
Yeah,
Where'd
you're
you get
talking
an
about
opinion from?
someone's claim of a contradiction being true or false. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in
I'm
reality, is
not.
it possible for a contradiction to exist? Like, can there be a married bachelor? Can you have a round circle? Can something exist and not exist at the same time?
Does he
Well,
know?
that's not what I'm saying.
Clearly. But that's what we're saying. We're saying contradictions can't exist.
Okay,
We're
I
not saying
agree,
two
but
people can't contradict
now
each
my
other.
argument. Well, that's also not my argument.
We didn't
Now
say it was.
I
I
agree
was
that.
clarifying Ian's point, which is that the God that you believe in entails logical contradictions, therefore does not exist.
And I was arguing against that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was saying, what if it's just under a different perspective? What if you logically can conclude that this is a contradiction, but you are missing what would cause it to be true.
Well, you would have to demonstrate how the contradiction's not a contradiction, right? So if we show you a contradiction and you can't demonstrate why it's not a contradiction, but we can demonstrate why it is a contradiction, it just means that the contradiction holds. So,
I mean, also, like we can prove in this case that it is a contradiction, right? Given a definition of God as a being that created physical reality, you would say, premise 1, God exists. Premise 2, God cannot create physical reality. Conclusion: God cannot create physical reality, and God did create physical reality. That's a direct contradiction. It's a P and it's a nearly direct contradiction. It's a P and not P. So that you can actually just derive the contradiction explicitly here because it's sufficiently simple.
Well, couldn't you just change the premise and have it not be a
Sure,
contradiction?
but then we're just talking about a different thing when you say God and when we say God.
Yeah, then you just like concede the God debate, basically.
How so?
Because you concede that a mind didn't create the universe.
So
create
your
like physical
argument-
reality.
So, I'm sorry. It kind of sounds like your argument is that God can't exist, therefore God doesn't exist, right?
Nope.
Well,
sorry,
we
can
can
you
deduce from God's properties that if God exists, God must not be able to take actions, for example. And then from there, you can deduce that God could not have created physical reality because that would be an example of an action, and hence derive a contradiction that way. Now, if you want to change what God's properties are so that you can no longer deduce that God cannot take actions, sure, but then we're just talking about a different thing.
So that's what I want to. That's why I want to understand the properties of the God when you mean God.
A mind that created physical
Right.
reality.
Including things such as time and space.
Yeah.
And this God can't create those physical reality because
Creation is an action. Action requires time. If God created time, God cannot be inside of time. If God is not inside of time, God cannot take actions. Something like that. There's a more rigorous way to lay it out, but that's roughly the idea.
okay. So where do you think that time came from then?
Well, wait.
Nothing?
So before we move on to that, can we just acknowledge that God doesn't exist? Otherwise, do you take issue with any of
No,
what
I'm
Blitz
trying
said?
to understand your argument.
Maybe you
That's
could
not-
reject
that's
a
not-
premise of what of what Blitz said.
Of course. I mean, I think that I don't see why you can't say the premise.
Can you summarize
Sure.
back to us what Dr. Blitz's argument was?
God is a mind, or God would be a mind that created all of physical reality, but something that is within time can't come from time.
So, happenings, things like actions, take place in time. God's outside of time, so he can't take actions. That splits his argument. Which part of that would
Okay.
you reject?
I reject that. Then I would reject that God is. Okay, sorry. One more time. God is outside of time, so he can't take actions in time.
He can't take actions,
Right.
period.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, I would reject that God is outside of time then.
Okay, then where did time come from?
God.
So he
God-
created himself?
Yes. I think that's what most Christians believe in.
So nothing created something,
No.
but God created himself. So prior to God's
Yes.
existence, he made himself.
Was timeless.
You think
remember?
there was nothing and then there was God,
That's not
and
what
that
I
God
think.
created himself out of nothing. So
That's not what I
nothing
think.
created something.
That is not what I think.
Well, that's
So
what
where
you're
did-
saying.
So where did time come from?
When did I say that? I'm sorry. When did I say that?
Yeah, because you said that God created himself. What that means, what creation is bringing something into existence. So prior to creation, the thing doesn't exist. So you would have a non-existent thing that just creates itself. So nothing created something by definition.
Well, see, this is what I mean. You're thinking on a very low level, aren't you?
No, it's
You can't
not,
accept the fact. You can't accept
this
the
is
fact
fairly
that.
sophisticated. It's not particularly low level.
I mean by that, you guys aren't. It's not in your realm of possibility that there could be something, for
That
instance,
created
like
itself? I mean, I don't
a
think that's within your
Gary.
realm of
No,
possibility
no,
either.
you're not accepting that there could be something like Gary that could be outside.
Oh, no, we do accept that there could be something like Gary. Gary could live in a garage in his mom's basement.
Right.
Those are two separate places. Gary could live in his mom's basement, which happens to also be the garage. And it could very well be the case that Gary coded up our universe. I don't think it's plausible, but that's
But to you,
metaphysically
what created
possible.
Gary is irrelevant.
Well, no,
It's not.
we
It's
just
not a
wouldn't call
thing that
Gary
we have.
God. We just wouldn't call Gary God. Gary would just be an alien.
So you do believe in God, but you're
Nope.
okay
No.
with saying that God's an alien.
Well, I also don't think that there is like a Gary for our universe. I have other reasons to think that. I think that the justifications are kind of lacking. But even then, this would be a being that like obeys laws of physics. It didn't create all of physical reality, right? Because it would have its
Well,
own
what
physical
if?
reality.
Well, you say this, but couldn't there be other like what are the limitations of physical reality? Like you say that, but
Obeys laws of physics.
and there's only one laws of physics in like
Nope.
our
Gary could
universe
have
and every
completely
other
different
universe
laws of
for
physics
our
from
universe.
us. Gary could have
Exactly.
completely different laws of physics.
So
Still
how could
laws of physics though, still physical reality.
right?
So
But you
Gary
still
didn't create all of physical reality. Gary
and
created
time
another
within is
physical
within our
reality.
universe, right?
Sorry?
And time is within our universe, right?
Yeah, so in our universe, we have one sense of time, and then Gary would have a different sense of time. But Gary didn't create his own sense of time. He's just living in it.
So you see no way to think that a being outside of our reality could, from our perspective, create itself in our reality.
Well, thing can't
And
create
we're
itself.
stuck there.
There's a causal issue with that, which is that you would need to attribute causal power to an absence. Prior to a thing being created, it's an absence. It doesn't exist. So you would need to say that a thing that doesn't exist caused something. I don't think absences have
Well,
causal power.
I think you've got a
well,
second
I
logical
mean,
issue too, is if it's outside of its creation, it can't create itself inside of the creation, because now it's simultaneously there and not there at the same time, which is not possible.
Gary can't code himself into our universe.
He can, but he would still be outside of our universe, right?
He would be both.
Wouldn't
I mean,
he?
he could,
Couldn't
like-
he just code like an avatar? Like he couldn't literally put
Yeah,
himself in there.
that's true.
Why
That's a good
not?
point.
You don't know what he can do.
So Gary's omnipresent?
Well, no, actually, no. This is at least metaphysically possible. It could be that he like puts him that somehow there's some means by which we don't understand. He could put himself into the universe, like suck
After he
himself into
creates
it.
it, though.
After he creates it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Why
then,
not at the
but
same-
wait,
why
but
couldn't
Gary
he
isn't. Gary just doesn't fall
fundamentally
into the
part of our
definition of
universe?
God,
Yeah.
though. Wait, I don't know. I'm just not
Yes,
sure why
wait.
people have like such like severe listening problems. We're saying
sorry,
that
what did I
Gary is
miss
a thing that doesn't qualify as God. This is like something that doesn't fit the
But
definition.
no, this is my point. What you call Gary, what you call an alien, could just be a different term for what everyone else.
So it's
or
definitions
everyone else's
again.
Religion.
Why does
Not
everyone want to come up and
exactly.
debate the definition?
I think
That's what
they're
you're
realizing
reading.
that
You
they have no
start by
evidence
saying,
for the
"This is
actual
our
definition of
definition
God, so
of
they have
God,
to
and this is
invent
what
a
you
new
are arguing."
definition of God.
Look,
I'm sorry,
if
what did I invent?
If you don't agree with our definition and you think that our definition
not-
just isn't your definition, well, look, you're not coming up to argue with somebody about your definition. You're coming up to argue with somebody about our definition, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. How
We've
am
set
I-
the
how did
parameters
I
of the
get away from
conversation.
I accept. Can you explain to me how I got away from your definition?
Our definition is a mind that is responsible for creating all of physical reality. Gary is not such a thing.
Why not?
Because Gary exists in physical reality, in his own physical reality, in his mom's basement. He was born. He will die. He obeys laws of physics.
What if he didn't? What if he didn't exist inside?
Then he's not Gary.
What do you mean then he's not Gary?
That's crazy.
If he doesn't exist in a physical reality, then we're just not talking about the same thing. Gary is a person who lives in his mom's basement and coded up our universe in his spare time.
That created physical reality.
Created all of physical reality, yeah. Gary is not that.
Something?
Gary did not create all of physical reality.
Yeah.
Because Gary lives in physical reality and has always lived in physical reality and was born in physical reality.
Yeah.
How do you,
Gary's a dude.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. How can you say that for sure?
That's the thing that we're describing as Gary, is like a guy who has a computer and is really good at coding, and he coded up our universe. That's who Gary is.
Can I describe Sam, who doesn't exist in physical?
Yeah, but we're debating Gary, not Sam.
The thing is,
we're not.
we
We're
don't think
debating
that Sam
God.
exists. We don't think that Sam exists. That's the point.
Yeah.
You don't think that Gary exists either.
Yeah, for different
You
reasons.
don't think that God exists.
Yeah.
So-
I'm more sure that God doesn't exist than I am that Gary doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because God, like the notion of God that we're talking about has like some serious like incoherencies in its own definition, whereas the notion of Gary just is like metaphysically perhaps implausible, and is, you know, for Occam's razor reasons we can probably dismiss the theory, and you know, there's like there's reasons that we can say that that abduction leads us to conclude that Gary doesn't exist, but there's like deductive reasons how you can come to the conclusion that God doesn't exist, at least, you know, in certain conceptions.
Speaking of, why taking into account Occam's razor and things like that, why isn't God one of a theory that you could possibly accept as the origins of the universe?
And with regards to Occam's razor, it's because if you can posit an explanation that doesn't involve God, then there's no need for God. If you can posit a more parsimonious, like a naturalistic explanation for the universe, then there's no reason to have natural stuff and supernatural stuff by committing yourself to a God. That's why Occam's razor favors naturalism over theism, is because there's fewer categories that are required.
Why is there a separation there, though?
Between natural and supernatural, because one is inside physical reality, it obeys laws of physics, and the other is outside of it. It doesn't obey laws of physics.
Also, keep in mind, if the claim is that God, that the very notion of God has inbuilt incoherencies, then Occam's razor doesn't even apply. Occam's razor is when you have two equally explanatory hypotheses or equally explainable theories. But if God has incoherencies, it's not an equally it doesn't have equal explanatory power, because it's not it's demonstrably false. It can't explain anything because it doesn't exist. It's not real. The Occam's razor argument is only when you have two equally valid theories that equally explain the data.
And I'm sorry if I already asked this, but can you explain to me why your current idea or so of where the universe came from, or where physical reality came from? I know it wouldn't just be in one part, it would be many different theories, but could you explain to me why that excludes God?
Well, part of my worldview is that there isn't a God, right? That's like part of the worldview, if that's what you're mentioning. Like that's not included in the model. So adding a God would just be adding extra data that you have to assume, or extra features that you have to assume.
Yeah, and especially if you can account for why the universe exists without God, then adding God literally doesn't add anything. You're already explaining the data.
You're not adding God on top. It's not like, obviously the universe isn't as simple of a pile of facts, and then you just place God on top of it, right? They're all intertwined.
Well, in some sense, the assumptions that go into a given theory or a given model are that. You have a pile of assumptions, and then you look at what are the conclusions that you can draw from those assumptions. And
but
so
we know that's...
if what you're saying is that that my model of the universe doesn't exclude adding the additional assumption of a God existing, well, I mean, in some sense it does, because at least if you mean the same thing by God as I do, then a God existing is incoherent. But setting that aside, if you add the additional assumption of a God, you're just adding an additional assumption that doesn't do anything.
Well, except now you believe in God.
Yeah, it just doesn't explain anything, so it would be a bad belief to hold.
Why?
It would
Why
be
does God
epistemically
explain-
unvirtuous insofar as you're believing something for literally no reason. It offers zero explanatory power and commits you to an entire other ontological category. It's extremely unparsimonious.
Well, God is more than just something to explain something else.
That's
Hey,
what
Quasar, do you believe in the ontological category of Blumpus?
I don't know.
You're
Yeah, so-
agnostic
I
to
haven't heard it.
Blumpus.
So Blumpus is an ontological category. It's not matter.
I didn't
It's
say
not abstract. Sorry?
He asked me if I'm atheistic to Blumpus,
Agnostic
and I didn't say that.
to Blumpus.
Sorry, agnostic. What is the difference? Can you remind me?
Yeah,
Agnostic
atheist
means that you
and-
just don't take a position.
Oh, then no, I'm not agnostic.
Okay, so Blumpus is an additional ontological category. It's non-material, non-abstract, non-mental. It's a fourth ontological category that has beings in it. It has types of existent entities with a Blumpus ontology. Do you add that to your view of the world?
Sure, if someone explained it well.
Well, I just did. It's a
Yeah.
fourth ontological category.
Yep.
There
Okay,
are beings that
if
have
you-
this category, have this type of ontology. They're called Blumpoids.
Sure, I would ask more questions, but questions.
Well, yeah,
lead
but
to
it
truth,
doesn't
right?
explain anything.
Yeah.
But you can believe
Well,
in it.
why does
The
it have
fuck?
to?
Like, if there were Blumpoids in front of you, then you would probably want to add the Blumpus category to your worldview. But if you have no evidence, no
Okay.
indication that Blumpoids exist or that any Blumpus explained thing exists, then there's no reason to add it to the view. It doesn't
But that doesn't
explain
mean the
anything, and
category
it
doesn't
weighs down
exist.
the view.
How does it weigh down the view?
It's an additional
What do you mean
commitment
by
that
that?
gets you nothing.
It's information about it. How does it give me nothing?
Because it
Information about
doesn't
what?
explain anything. There's nothing in
Blumpoids don't do
reality
anything
that
for you.
maps onto
Again,
this.
why does it have to explain something? You just added a new category to my worldview that I previously knew nothing about. That is all the information you have given me. So all that information is in that category. It doesn't need to explain anything. I don't know anything about it in the first place.
Let's correct
My
me if
job
I'm
now-
wrong, but in Bayesian terms, adding like these additional assumptions can only make the theory less likely
Yeah.
if it doesn't add an explanatory power.
Yep. Well, it can
Well,
keep the
I don't
explanatory
think
power
it
the
ha- I
same
don't
as
think
well.
it has to
Or
explain
the
something. I just have to
likelihood.
cut down the things that
It just makes
that-
it less likely then. It can adding this thing that doesn't explain anything to
Hey,
your
there are
view can
certain-
only
some
make
things
it
that can
less
make it less
likely.
likely. There are some things in there. You should probably drop those things, right?
Yeah, like Blumpoids.
Yeah.
Well, no, not the category itself. That makes no sense.
not?
If you
Why not drop the category itself? Like if nothing in the category makes the category more likely to exist.
well, there is something in the category that I have no explanation for. So I can't. How can I go around saying that this is true and this is not, and I should take this out of the category and put this in if there is still, or how could I say I should drop the category entirely if there are still some things in the category that I have no pro evidence or anti evidence for?
Oh, because the way that we form rational worldviews is we build rational worldviews kind of from the ground up. You assume nothing, and then you just add stuff to your worldview until you can explain everything that you need to explain.
Why is that the best method? Why is that how?
I mean, it's like that's like a rational way to do it. I mean,
Right? Another rational way to do
that's
it, right?
typically
You're
how we do like
taking-
Bayesian type of reasoning, right? Which is kind of like the way that we do science these days. But if you want to have a different like epistemology, a different way of building a worldview or something, where it's just like you just believe in things willy-nilly, well, I guess, but then you have to believe in Blumpoids.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
What
Because you have
reason
a
would you have to
criterion.
add these things to your worldview?
Well, you would have to explain to me. I know nothing of it. I would have to find reasons, or you would have to tell me reasons, right?
You're right. So we can absolutely tell you all about Blumpoids, but it has to happen next time because right now we're running very, very short on time. So thank you for being here, Quasar. but Justin has a hard cutoff in 1 minute. So Justin, you want to read some super chats?
Yes, indeed. Friends, thank you so much for being here. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel on TikTok and on YouTube. If you came here on TikTok because you saw one of the three of us live, it's possible you're not already following our channel, the Unapologetic channel. So please drop us a follow. And if you're following us on TikTok and you're not following us on YouTube, please go ahead and follow us on YouTube. You can see replays of the live streams on YouTube in case you actually missed it. So if you missed it, don't worry, you can watch it back on YouTube. So we would love to see you over there, friends. Shady, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, when the caller said the universe is intelligent because I believe it, it really confirmed that this conversation is unintelligible. And I actually agree with that one. It was a bold assertion on his part, but Captain Howdy, thank you so much for the $19.99 super chat. Big W says, I'm loving the brain power on this panel. It seems like Christian BS doesn't stand a chance. Well,
I like how you read that second chant. Like it was clearly a typo.
I know. I couldn't stop it. Well, thank you for the kind words, Captain.
I think we need to get into the habit of just like, we should just say beforehand, like the types of conversations we're looking to have, and then like don't join. If these conditions are not suitable for you, simply don't join.
Indeed.
Or I mean, look. So I'm more willing to just kick people off. So we should, if we only take TikTok guests, then I will just kick people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Captain Howdy, thank you for the super chat. And Shady, thank you for the last super chat. It says, have you considered the what do you mean by what do you mean philosophical argument that words don't mean words? Checkmate, atheist. I did forget about that argument in the heat of discussion that words have no actual meaning to theists. But to be fair, this might be their best argument, that words have no meanings, because they certainly don't have any arguments that derive from meaningful words. I think that's all of our super chat. Friends, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking and sharing and supporting and super chatting the stream. We really appreciate it. We'll be here again next week, same time, same place. And
Ian, how are you already live?
What? Well, I'm gonna be going live soon.
Oh, okay.
No, I just like started I started a
scheduled
stream.
Live.
Yeah, scheduled it.
How do you schedule a live from OBS? Ian, like reveal?
Ah, no, no.
There actually is a way to do it, but friends, let's go raid Ian's live, which is starting here in just a couple seconds, and then let's all go cook some theists on his stream or their stream, and then we'll see you.
Canceled.
I know, you got to cancel me, friends.
Oh my God! Wait till the line hears about this.
The boomer is never gonna get.
You know what? I'm gonna DM Forrest right now and say that Justin's canceled.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But.
All right, Justin. I know you have a hard off. And Ian, you're gonna go do your thing. I'm gonna go eat lunch.
I know you have a hard on.
Heyo, let's go. All right. Thank you guys all for being here.